Alright, let's make sure that this is getting streamed properly onto the Gwentlemen channel. Hopefully it is. I'm hoping. Come on. Let's go. I've been trying to mess around with the
Oh yes, go.
Yes, properly. We are good. Alright, so hello everybody and welcome to the February cast of the Gwentlemen's Open. We will be casting the semifinals with myself, Dale the White Wolf, Swim, Faramir, and Ruben. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
It should be a lot of fun matches for you guys today. We have both of the semifinals games, the bronze match to figure out who can get that third place, and the finals matches as well. I don't know if anybody has anything to say before we really hop into this and get this thing going. But
yeah, I'd like to have to say a thing or two. I think the meta was in a really interesting spot when this tournament happened, and I'm glad that it wasn't fully discovered yet. I mean, there was a hotfix very recently, and that changed a little bit of stuff, and it made it a little bit more interesting. For example, sometimes you saw Skellige, and yeah, just in general, the matches were a lot more interesting because of that, and I liked it. Yeah.
I'm just upset that I don't get to cast with Swim.
Me too, dude.
when in doubt, blame Nub.
Yeah, let's just blame Dale. It's all good.
Oh
So
no,
he's trying to keep us
Nub.
apart.
Oh, no. Someone has to take the blame.
It's
Anyway, the tournament was right after the Nilfgaard patch hit, so it's gonna be very interesting. I feel like.
Yeah, I think it was a huge boon for the tournament that the patch really hit at that exact time, because like we've said before, it really like increased the diversity and surprise level of certain decks.
Definitely.
That being said, I don't think the meta's figured out right now. It's just they're still figuring stuff out.
I definitely.
It was an interesting meta, though.
Well, without further ado, our first casting for you is going to be actually HG3 versus Minturkmen in the first of the semifinals, going to be casted by Faramir and Ruben, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that one. I am correct.
Yes, that's correct.
So let's go ahead and make sure that everything got set up correctly on this. Hopefully, we're hoping. But I'll leave it in your guys' more than capable hands.
Oh boy.
All right.
What could possibly go wrong?
Do not test my
So we start off the game here, and it's immediately Monsters versus Northern Realms. And as we know, it's only one deck with a sideboard of 8 cards. So who do you think has the favor here, Faramir?
Well, seeing as that poor monster guy just redrew one crown with another crown, I would say
A minor setback, I would say.
I would say NR has the advantage here for sure. Northern Realms. We see at least one player using deck tracker here, which is interesting. So allowed, of course. But
It was allowed,
yeah,
indeed, yeah.
yeah. Weather monsters. It's pretty heavily nerfed in the hotfix, so we'll see how it does against NR matchup. I play a lot of NR, and I always feel comfortable when I play against weather monsters, but there's definitely certain times where you can definitely do this with a bad hand, so it's not impossible to win.
Yeah, certainly. But if you don't get lucky or get a decent amount of golden cards with Northern Realms, you're pretty screwed or in a pretty bad position against monsters. But as you said, here he has 2 crones in his hand, limiting his turn 1 tempo. And this will be very interesting because the first turn for this Radovid control type of deck is certainly getting that first round in their pocket. And that's kind of the same thing for monsters because they can weather their whole commitment down, and it's certainly punishing for the Northern Realms players. So we'll see if he actually commits here fully. He actually plays a Reaver Scout still, by many considered not an optimal play since there is so much removal. What do you think about Reaver Scout here? Reaver Hunter, sorry.
I think it's pretty bad, especially if you already have a fog down. Just means it's a very slow development play that gets you basically it just thins your deck at this point. Like, you're not gonna get any power out of it, and obviously in this round you kind of want to have something like a Yennefer Conjurer.
Yeah, and also
Or-
very vulnerable against Wild Hunt Warrior. It could get immediately shut down by it. But he did decide to play Yennefer the Conjurer, actually. Very strong in monster matchup, in my
Very
opinion.
strong. Yeah, very strong, but a little late. I would have played it first, definitely,
Yeah,
before the Reaver
me
Hunter,
too.
because Reaver Hunter doesn't really do anything here. Sure, it thinned all the 3 Reaver Hunters out of the deck, but he's 12 behind in points, and Monster has a pretty, like, we see a Swallow Potion here. It's a pretty good way to just negate
Deny.
that Yennefer
The
Conjurer.
whole Yennefer play. But maybe he saw the Crones and he decided, I have a good Scorch here in my hand, or a good Bork. Maybe it's probably Scorch. Maybe I will play her. Maybe he decided to not play her the first round and save it for a later round. So maybe it was that making his decision. And he's immediately hitting down the Ancient Foglet. But he decides, the monster player, to actually buff it with a potion. Or maybe not.
Thinking about
Decides
it.
to kill that. Well, it's a small mediocre play in my opinion, because that was only 5 value and not very high priority target. But we'll see how it goes here.
Yeah, it's definitely better to do that in a matchup where the Northern Realms plays Reaver Scouts, because then it's harder to use them if you just keep killing off their units. But in this case, I would have liked to see the Swallow Potion on the Ancient Foglet as well. He
Yeah,
did
because it's the
decide to
one
do it
stay.
this turn, yeah.
He's trying to get the advantage because he knows the all-in of the
he does play
of the
Reaver
Northern
Scout.
That is very interesting. He does know that in the turn 1, the control out of it will go very hard into the round, into the range row. So playing a fog like that is not risky at all, because you do come across a lot of Northern Realms. And yeah, right now he's in a pretty good spot, I'd say, the monster player here, even though having a kind of useless card with the Crones in hand, the double Crones in hand.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely at a big advantage here. And this is not the kind of round 1 you want as NR. As NR, you want to play Yennefer Conjure early. You want to set up their Foglets and their Crones with the Ballistas too, so Yen can get the most value. And that didn't really happen this round. So he's forced to use his hero ability without killing the Foglet, which is really weak.
Also, the King of Beggars for him was only a 5 strength card, not even, because it was only 2 strength right here, because it was in weather. But maybe he has a clear skies in hand, and
Yeah,
you never know as a monster weather, because he keeps going, and you never know. Maybe he has a clear weather in his hand, maybe not. You can't be sure, and he's maybe keeping that as a last resort here. But as you can see, he does have a last resort to weather the road down as well.
I'll do what I can.
And also, if he decides to buff the Foglets, the small Foglets with a Commander's Horn, and he has a clear weathers, that's a lot of lost value there.
Interesting
Plays
card
Triss,
that
yeah.
he plays there. And Triss, like, normally Vernon Roche is considered a superior card. Since the hot patch, Triss definitely better against something like Nilfgaard, because it can kill the cow carcasses, but alright.
Finally decides to pass, and it's a tie, just to get one more card out of there.
I don't really like this. Yeah. I don't really like this, because he's gonna keep the Foglet.
Do you think it would have been a better play? Do you think it would have been a better play if he trissed the last Foglet that was played, so that there was less strength going into the next turn?
For sure, especially because it was would set up the Yankon for one more big proc, and otherwise the Foglet was ticking over to 6, so it was the only one targeted. Right,
Go ahead.
Definitely a good hand here for the monster player.
Very decent indeed. Now the Northern Realms player has limited resources, because round 1 for Radovid control is a very essential and very basic round where he goes pretty all in with a lot of units, and if he loses that, he is very limited to getting a lot of strength on the board. And with the monster player already having 16 strength on board, this is going to be pretty tough for him.
Yeah, he does have a clear skies, which is interesting. He didn't use it last round.
He probably just drew it as my...
Yeah, he must have.
Yeah, because it was too good to not use it last round.
Then again, last round, you still had Dagon, so you know it's like as soon as that Clear Skies comes down, like instantly gonna Dagon, so just renew the fog.
Ho ho, I
Right.
He did have Siri. One of the reasons probably why he went this all in, just to play Siri and then pass the round.
I like a pass here from monsters. I don't know
Yeah, I
why
would
you-
like the pass here as well.
Let's
This
play
is
here.
kind of
This is a
very
waste as
suboptimal.
well. Right. Oh, yeah, he plays Scald Art on the range row, on the melee row, so his
he
tenant
gonna-
like Foggle can't get
Okay, this is-
Ignite.
This is a 2-hour round play because right now Borg cannot be played anymore. It will not trigger if it gets played, unless he has Prince Stennis into Borg, or he plays Borg and then Prince Stennis. But will he actually pull it off? That's very interesting because if
Very
his
close.
last card is
Roche
not Prince
doesn't do
Stennis, he loses.
Roche doesn't do it. Yeah, alright, that's a win.
That is game then.
Yeah, well recognized from HG that he can push him here. And
A very dangerous play and also a little bit greedy. But yeah, a big mistake is keeping that Borg in the hand for too long until it's too late. And this was perfectly played by HG. Let's move on to the next game then, shall we? So yeah, that was an interesting game. We thought Northern Realms had the advantage there, but as we were miscorrected there, actually Monsters won that game, which was really interesting. So that was only a minor setback, as I said, to actually have the second crown there. What do you think of the game?
I think Turkman, the NR player, didn't play that optimally. I think HG played that way better. Yeah, I think he didn't set up his Yencon correctly to get a lot of value, and he might have had. I would have even pushed like a little harder round one maybe, with that kind of hand he had. Like, I don't know what he drew, but it looked like he had the Syria and the Borg, so pushing a little harder round one there would have definitely been better in my opinion. But
So now, okay, we move on to the second game. And remember, they have a sideboard with 8 cards, including leaders, but none of them change the leader. But they can change up a lot of cards according to their matchup. So the mulligan here, 3 crowns a hand, which is very suboptimal. Also Foglet. So yeah, the mulligan is pretty easy here. Did he actually draw a second Wild Hunt Rider?
I think he did. Do you have another one on his hand?
Yes. Yep.
not
He only has
optimal,
one left
but-
in his deck. There we go.
Interesting
Again,
to see. Yeah, you still play Skellige Storm, or is that White Frost? I think it's White Frost, right? That's White Frost. But like
this time
interesting
opening up.
that he
No
still plays.
Roach. Very interesting. No Roach appearing when he plays that. Maybe he drew it. Maybe it's in his hand, or maybe it's just not played or replaced by something else.
Possible that he mulliganed it. Like my first assumption would be that he just
Oh, interesting.
he just didn't get it. Yeah, he just drew it, but
Yeah,
definitely
playing
possible. But
playing the Dun Banner Cavalry to counter the monster player, and this will be a very interesting matchup. Clearly seeing some counters already to the monster weather deck. I wonder if we'll see any changes to the monster weather deck here.
did we
Playing
see Wild
Pavetta.
Hunt? Did we see
Very
Wild Hunt
nice.
Warriors last round? Oh, that's a good value Pavetta here.
Wild Hunt Warriors, yeah, they were lacerated in the beginning, very early on.
No,
So-
I'm not. I need my Wild Hunt. What is it? Warriors.
Warriors. Yes. We didn't see them, maybe because he didn't draw them, but yeah, this is a very good Scorch already. Yeah, this is not looking good for HG3 here.
Yeah.
Getting punished
You
really
should-
hard.
You should get out of this round. If he plays a Foggle, he's most likely gonna run into a pass.
I would at
he-
least because
Yeah.
because you need at least 2 cards. Then I mean, to get over him, he would need to play about 3 cards or 2 cards, and that's definitely pass worthy for Turkmen. And HG is looking to pass here because he knows in what position he is.
He wants to carry over minion to next round, but he knows if he does that, then
Looking at Dagon.
he's gonna run into a pass and basically waste 1 card. I just like
But
to
is
see a
that
pass
worth-
here. No,
is that
it's not,
worth the
because you can just play the card next round instead of keeping it around. Tempo doesn't matter that much if you lost the first round, because your opponent's most likely going to give up the round anyway.
It matters less indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he draws into his last Wild Hunt Rider, which would be very... Oh no, he played them. My bad there.
Oh, he played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking into his graveyard, looking to steal something. Let's see what he steals.
Here.
This should be a decent steal. If he steals Pavetta, which is
Why?
odd. I don't think that was
herself.
the optimal
Well, then
play,
again,
but
he stops Mentrigman from raising her later.
But he could have
so-
waited one turn. So I think he maybe waiting one turn for that, and you could have killed all those guys as well with it. So I think that was kind of maybe a hasty decision there of playing that. You definitely could have waited with it and gotten like 12 more value out of it,
Yeah, that's
even
true.
18 because she doesn't tie Pavetta. So
Good call,
fogging
yeah.
is always strong against Northern Realms because they are very ranged heavy right now at the moment, especially this Radovid build. Playing a catapult to kill one of the Foglets, not that optimal. Just trying to, I think, get some good cards out of the opponent. But I don't think the monster's having any trouble here with this draining, if you would say so.
You idiot.
Yeah, I think Mentrigman was definitely looking for a Stennis play there with the Priscilla and didn't get it. And it doesn't look like he has series, so there's no real good way for him to make up that deficit he has right now. So
With card advantage.
that card deficit.
The only way he could do it is make a huge tempo play where the opponent is forced to play two cards to get above it. But I don't see this happening right now. And I think Avalok is not maybe an optimal play because he does get a card of advantage there. But if he can overcome this with one card, it's fine. But I don't think at the moment I see a way. Maybe a Commander's Horn is one too short.
It is how I punish
He
those
Radovid's
who
interesting. He's maybe looking to 2-0 the opponent here, HG. Maybe he feels in a position where he can afford it.
Yeah, Mentrigman definitely not in a great spot right now. Especially because he let that Avalok go and didn't pass, which means he gets that one card.
I will
That was
Maybe-
a good.
become a second sire.
Maybe he drew a good card, but I don't really see
This
why
is-
he chose that one. But alright.
This was a very good tempo play. I think if he passes now here, I see why he would do it. But I don't think he is going to pass here because right now the opponent has to play two cards and they would be equal on cards. But Menturtman would have the advantage because HG would have to play the first card. So passing here would be quite an optimal play. But he keeps going, and I don't know. But this is maybe gonna punish him a little bit because the monster weather player has another weather in his hand with all those cards.
He might be looking for a Borg here if he has it on his hand.
That could be the case. Yeah.
His opponent has to play into it, so he doesn't have to have 3 cards in his hand.
That would be quite risky though, with only 2 cards in hand, and then playing
really.
Borg.
You're so far ahead, so he's probably not going to catch up on these 2 cards. So
Commander Sword could do a lot though. So I'm a little bit. And now he passes. Interesting. I thought the last turn was a better pass, but maybe
now
he
the
wants
horn
to-
is enough. Yeah,
Yeah, indeed. Now it's enough.
he's not going to keep anything though, which is
Fine if you can. If he still has card advantage right here, it's just by 1, which is by 2 actually, because of the ancient Fogland. This was a nicely played round of HD. Actually, there was a fine round by HD, but a lesser round I feel by Menturtman. Just because he had so many opportunities where he was so much
that's
ahead
a
that he
tough
could
deck.
actually pass. That's a very good draw.
That's a tough deck if I've ever seen, man. 1 out of
Playing-
3 for him to get the Woodland Spirit there. He had 2 Alza Thunders in his deck, and that one.
Interesting. Playing Borg, making the Swallow Potion basically worth of no value. Maybe if he does it on his opponent, maybe. Could be
It's
the case.
it's not bad because you can stagger his minions that way,
Are you saying
Yeah,
I
just-
do
so
it
they don't all die to Borg. But it looks like that Borg was pretty bad, to be honest.
Okay.
Because it's probably just gonna backfire here. So we're just gonna kill his own minions.
I believe it would backfire, but we'll see how this plays out. What is the last card of the opponent here? playing a very good card here, the Leshen, or the Woodland Spirit, as it is known in the game. A very strong card overall, especially in the last turn. Can be really game turn. Shani, that is a strong card, especially
I
against
don't think he has
Monster
anything good in the graveyard though. Nothing great in there.
Nothing great, but it's just enough. What will this Swallow Potion do? It's enough to buff up Nanake and then kill her, because that's 4 strength. And that 4 strength dies. But what dies with it? Yeah. Well, the 6 strength will die anyways with it. So I think HG is doomed here. No matter what, because if he buffs Nanake here, okay, Nanake dies and then 4 strength goes, but the 6 strength on his board by the current tier dies as well. So he loses net 2 strength, which actually puts him behind, and he loses the game because of that. Very impressive.
That's crazy. He actually lost the game.
Yeah, even though he played a little better, maybe he just had that plan all along in his head, Mentorman. It feels like it was Bork basically carried that last round. Keeping Bork in the third round can pay off, but it also can backfire, like we saw in last game.
Yeah.
Basically, this very interesting first round.
The difference was that the NR player won the first round this time, so he was able to keep Bork in a more comfortable setting, right?
I think the first round killed him. That was just so punishing. This first round where all his crones died and everything just died was so punishing. And then just giving him away the third turn. But we go back into the third game and the last game, because it's a best of 3. We are 1-1 for Mentorman and HG3 from Gwent City. And we'll see here, the mulligan always drawing more crones. That's very impressive. These draws are not
only one
good,
crown.
but he has a good mulligan. He has a good hand right now. Nothing suboptimal in there. Some nice premium art as well. We have to shout at that.
This is pretty much what you want. You have a Wild Hunt Rider, 1 crown. You can farm, but it's just in your deck perfectly here.
Opening so confident that Northern Realms will play in the range throw that he actually opens with Iromancy into the range throw, into a fog, which is very interesting.
Yeah, you gotta imagine that Mentorman definitely teched in some first lights and the Dun Banner Heavy Cavalry instead of the Reaver Scouts.
And I think the Shani as well. I think the Shani was another, and the Pavetta maybe, or maybe he's playing Gum Stifless, because we didn't see a lot of those cards that he played in the second round in the actual first match. But this is looking like a better start for HG than last round. No crazy Pavetta plays, no Yennefer in hand, so this is looking immediately a little bit better for him. But a decent opening for Mentorman as well. Getting his Dunbanner Cavalry started. This is looking pretty even right now, even though HG has a lot more tempo.
Yeah. We need to see a pretty big tempo play for Mentorman. Yeah.
Ooh, we do see Yennefer. Interesting.
Another late Yennefer. I don't agree with this at all.
I would Swallow Potion, maybe. Because if he passes now, Yennefer hits the 7, and if he has a Scorch, they all die. I think this maybe was worth the risk. Maybe he doesn't have Scorch, and if you're willing to take that risk, fine, but that's a pretty big risk. Especially, he doesn't have it now, luckily for HG, but that was a big risk to take, because losing 21 strength is not something to just wave away like that. That kind of lost him in the last round.
Yeah. And I think we established that he just teched out the Roach. He just put out the Roach, probably for the Pavetta. Right?
Yeah.
We don't see Roach again. We didn't see it last game. So, the Swallow Potion staggers the minions nicely here, so Yen can get some more value. Can get less value, rather.
Trying to hit down the last crown that was swallowed, my potion. To make it so that Yennefer could actually hit multiple targets, because once you get Yennefer going, man, she can really tear up the board. Because Monster Weapon doesn't have that many counters or that many ways to deny Yennefer, other than Ancient Foglets, do a really good job of it. But yeah, other than that, just one Swallow Potion is in this deck, and that's what you got to roll with against Yennefer.
Yeah.
Like we saw last match, getting all your crones scorched is devastating. Playing Yennefer, we have seen Yennefer, Triss. We have seen Triss every game so far, which is interesting. A very valuable card because, especially in Northern Realms, neutral cards give much value. Like that, Yennefer is a 7, which is very hard to deal with for other factions. Triss is a 10, which is pretty unkillable, a 10 golden card. But our monster player has HG has some nice golden cards here as well, so we'll see what he does with them.
Yeah, I think he might have missed an opportunity earlier to pass.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Gonna pass now.
Just
stupid
to force one more
Yencon.
card.
No, it's
But-
not gonna force it because Yencon. Yeah.
Right.
That was
Gotta
a pretty
think
bad-
about Yencon. That was
That
a pretty bad pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see it for myself as well, though. I missed that.
Well, I knew it because I play Yencon so
Mm.
much, but yeah.
But
Had
the
that happen
Foglets
to me a
was
couple
unfor-
times, yeah.
That was an unfortunate way to lose a round. That was a very, very unfortunate row.
Yeah, they're
HG
pretty
is gonna
thin-
hit himself for that. Yeah.
He had a pretty decent Wild Hunt Warrior as well. I don't know why he just didn't play that. Alright.
Mm.
Didn't play those first round and got punished because he threw one of those probably.
Mm-hmm. But now it's worth. Yeah, but the monster weather is always gonna get some fog out every round. So
that's-
it's really weak against monster weather. But he doesn't mind because this run is not for winning him. That's a really, really suboptimal play. Using Radovid to kill that because it's not gonna stay on the board even. Where the Foglets was the last thing played. So using Radovid for that, I mean Radovid is such an important tool to your whole deck, pretty much removing anything that you want, and using that on the Ancient Foglet was a little bit questionable. Maybe.
I do that sometimes when I just want to remove Ancient Foglets round 1 when they stop my Yencon from getting big value. But
Right, but in this case,
round two, there's no real point in doing that, especially if he's not going to keep it for the next round anyway. So you just want to keep that for the gold cards round 3.
wasting his weakest cards here, not wanting to use his golden cards, and actually keeping all his golden cards in hand. I mean, he had these 3 cards from the beginning in his hand, and not deciding to use them, which is very interesting. But finally, he's forced to use one. So let's see what he targets here.
The least value, the Undertaker. I think we're just going to see
Probably
King of
King of
here.
Beggars. Yeah, for some thinning.
What's he going to pull? It's going to pull another Froglet. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty
If his
decent.
opponent-
Yeah,
If his opponent decides to pass, he's going to keep that, and especially because it's just going to play gold cards now from now on. So
Mhm.
the Froglet's definitely going to be the one that stays unless it gets killed. Because none of the
That is a very valuable lacerate there. Keeping it to that round was pretty smart. Forcing the opponent out, and now I'm questioning how much worth does Commander's Horn have? I mean, okay, you can use it on the Foglets, but I think him playing Bravella again. Interesting. Not getting that much value, but kind of forcing his way into playing every single last card here.
I think
So
you should horn the Froglet here.
yeah, I agree there.
I don't
Because he
like
keeps
playing the Woodland Spirit.
The Woodland Spirit is too valuable. You would keep a Foglet into the next turn, so which would be very suboptimal.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
horning that, which is the right play here. Let's see, forcing out that last card, is it enough? No, it isn't.
No.
So that last card stays a secret, which is interesting, but he keeps a 9 for the next round, which is pretty valuable here.
Turkman didn't play Vernon Roche, I don't think so. This doesn't look very good for him. There's no real cards that could get him out of Woodland Spirit and Ancient Foglet, even though that first side is a pretty dead card because there are no minions left in the monster deck. But I don't think there's a way you can beat this without Borg.
I think Borg Stannis would be
Borg
pretty much
Stannis is
one of the only ways to get you out of this mess, because this is an Alzur Thunder is probably not going to do it here.
That's not gonna do it.
There's not I mean, I don't think there is one card that can save you out of this.
Yeah, there's no point in playing. I hate this bug. Fuck this bug.
Yeah, small bug.
oh,
Ooh,
shiny.
shiny.
Oh,
Will she
Pavetta
get
maybe?
more?
Be glad.
Will she get more? Into Pavetta? No way. This does it. This does it. Yeah, this is enough.
Oh, wow.
Not getting that last
I-
rally. Ooh,
Actually, I didn't.
This-
Yeah, well, there's no minion left, right? I actually didn't.
The Foglet
it's bugged
should die.
now. It's
The Fog-
bugged.
okay.
Yeah.
and he gets
didn't-
gets it by
Actually
2 strength.
didn't consider that. Wow, that's.
That is impressive. That is very impressive. That is one we did not see coming. That was an
Pavetta's
exciting
good
match.
card. You should have
Ooh.
stolen Pavetta again without any mistakes.
Well, it would have killed a lot of his own stuff. That was
Well-
a good match. Yeah.
At least
So
he would've won.
congratulations to Gwentlemen making it to the finals, yeah, and HG going to the bronze match, still having some valuable stuff to win there. The winner of the bronze match. So
Yeah, I
we'll
think-
go to Dale again and swim.
We're actually going to all of us. Hello again, guys.
There we go. There
Oh,
we go.
hey guys.
What do you,
No,
what do
so-
you think of the games?
Oh my gosh,
Did you
that
watch it?
Pavetta, I think, just really. You look at
Yeah.
what could have been a sideboard card from that, and Pavetta definitely coming in against monsters, destroying any Wild Hunt Riders, any Foglets, is such a powerful card against that Weather Monster archetype. And that Shani into Pavetta finisher at the end. I was right there with you guys. I was like, no, like he's too many points up. He doesn't have anything that he can possibly have. And then it's like, whoop, oh, wow. It's such a swing.
He top decked the perfect card too, because he doesn't get the thunder. The foglet stays on the board and he loses anyway. But yeah, one of those 2 cards was top deck and was the perfect run. So
Do you think that was one of his sideboard cards? Because that was a
I
really
think so,
good
yeah.
sideboard. I think it
Yeah.
was as well, because we didn't see it
I
in the
think so
first
too.
game.
I think it was the one for the Roach, because Roach was only there in game 1 and then it rotated out. So it's
Very
probably the
observant.
one that he
And
rotated.
I didn't notice really any very significant sideboard cards from the monster player. I don't know if you guys noticed any,
No, I
but
don't think so either.
I don't think there was a significant change there. But we did see a significant change in the Northern Realms.
Yeah, it's interesting that
department.
they didn't tag me in the Shackles or something, because Shackles actually quite good if you play against the Yennefer Conjure or
Yeah, a Bork
something
too.
like Assyria or Bork. Yeah, it's interesting.
Anyways,
he
that was a
kept
really
the
good
Swallow
game.
Potion in that spot. Yeah.
No, Turkmen moving on to the finals. HG3 getting stuck down into that bronze match that we'll be casting a little bit later. But we're actually going to go ahead and move into the next semifinals match, casted by myself and Swim. So this is
Good luck, guys.
Should be fun.
Yeah,
good
it should be.
Let's see if I got this set up. Uh-oh. Something's not looking right.
Ruh-roh.
Oh, wait, no, there we go. It was just a simple one press. Let's go ahead and get this rolling. Now, I believe that for these matches, we do not have proper sound, and I also think that it's, let me double check with my little cheat sheet that I was given, that it actually takes a little bit. So our first match should be at 3 minutes and 30 seconds in, so we have a little bit of time to chat about this Swim.
Let's talk about Pavetta.
What do we want to talk about Pavetta with?
I think that card's too strong.
Too strong
I
of
think
Pavetta.
I think that the devs should slam her down to 4 strength. That because she's just too versatile. She kills too many things.
I think that because you look at her and she's just a double epidemic, and what's the last time that you've seen an epidemic?
Yeah, I mean look at her. She's 2 bronzes and a 6/10 of a silver. In a silver, that's too much. It's too many bronzes.
That could well be. Well, she did get a nice buff to her base strength earlier. I believe this patch she got up to 6. Was she not at a 4?
Oh, she was at a 4, yeah.
So it's always fun to me watching it when it's like, okay, what are like the minor strength changes that we can make? So this is just a 2 base strength increase, and suddenly, going from haven't really seen this card to carrying a game during the semifinals of the Gwentlemen's Open.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty common occurrence in game design. You buff a card a little bit, and it just, I mean, 2 strength is a lot bit if we're being real.
I'll agree with you. 2 strength is, I mean, even 1 strength. Whenever we're dealing with some pretty low numbers here, it's not like we have like a bunch of zeros added onto these numbers of cards. We're dealing with, you know, a bronze is an 8, a silver is a 10, a gold's a 12. So going by 2 kind of takes it up a tier.
Yeah, I mean, 2 is always going to make a big difference, especially with bronzes, because just 2 represents an entire fourth of what you expect that card to provide. But with a card like Pavetta especially, like the fact that her strength threshold literally increases what she has the capacity to do with her effect is big change.
And actually, Dunkoro, who's hanging out in our chat, hi Dunkoro, but he's saying that the thing with Pavetta is that she fits into no Northern Realms deck.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with that. She's great sideboard material.
I'd be inclined to agree with that. I think that she's one of those cards that, if you're bringing her every single match, then maybe you'll find value, maybe you won't. But I think with a sideboard type format like we ended up having with the Gwentlemen's Open this time, you stick her in your sideboard, you bring her out once you know what your opponent's playing, and as we saw, she can take games. And it looks like we are finally getting into the first of our matches. So these are our semifinals matches. It is Vishra versus Donkey Hot, I believe.
That's correct. Here we go. Okay, so we've got Donkey Hot on the Scoia'tael running Bruverhoog and Vishra with the Dagon. Now, if my information is correct, this Vishra's list is sort of it's a little original. It's a mix of a few things. He doesn't like calling out a consume monsters, even though it does have Neckers and it does have ghouls, but he wouldn't refer to it personally as a consume monsters list.
I'm inclined to agree with that assumption. Whenever you have running Crones, I have seen sometimes in Consume Monsters, sometimes in Weather Monsters. You don't normally see that Woodland Spirit in Consume Monsters, though. That's definitely a Weather Monsters card, so it looks like it might be a little bit of a hybrid.
Yeah, and like they mentioned before, Woodland Spirit is just a very high power gold, and now that we've got some agile units coming down with Ekimara, it allows you to play around your own weather a little better, which is nice. Looks like the Necker here is a prediction of the round 1 Ciaran, which is popular these days.
It's definitely looking like that. If it is that list, then the King of Beggars pulling out the Vryhead Officer is definitely an indicator that was Kieran that was played initially, because otherwise King of Beggars is going to be pulling out Kieran every single time.
Absolutely. So that does look like a Kieran. He's playing the tempo here. Now, this is a little bit committal with the Crones, but at the same time, it does guarantee that you're not going to draw the Crones going into round 2, which is always good.
In addition to that, I've seen a lot of round 1, turn 1 Kieran, and then just pass and trying to go for that card advantage from the get-go. So always threatening that he could play something more strength than what your opponent did after you passed. Definitely, I like the Crones for this position because it's giving you a nice large number on the board that your opponent may or may not actually be able to catch up to.
Yeah, and what you've got to think about are the ghouls. Like, when you're running ghouls, playing Crones early and just getting them into the graveyard really will increase their average strength. Now, this is a bit combated by the fact that Scoia'tael played like a bunch of little minions, then Monsters also played a Necker, but you still are increasing your average numbers, which is always good.
We are seeing the single Necker warrior in the list from Vishra, but that is now the last Necker. And I take it back. Go ahead and have a couple more.
Yeah. And what we might be seeing later on is we might be seeing really, really good value out of this Leshen. Because, I mean, this Scoia'tael list stacks the ranged row a decent amount. I mean, they're going to play Dragoons, basically. And, maybe one Clear Skies comes down, but you've got the Dagon too. So we could see a Fog sticking and really giving value.
And what I'm also curious on, what I've seen a lot of coming from this Scoia'tael list, is what row do you play that buffed Kieran, that buffed Teruvial on? And if the assumption is that your opponent is Consume Monsters, which it is, and you're not expecting Weather, you may fall into the false presumption that your ranged row is not going to get weathered and it's a little safer.
Now, I saw Vishra check in the graveyard there. It looks like he's a little surprised by the Dimeridium Shackles. I am too. This is game 1, so there hasn't been any sideboarding yet. And Dimeridium Shackles is, for the most part, the kind of card you're going to want to keep in your sideboard. That being said, it's in both players' decks.
Well, Dimeridium Shackles, definitely a very useful card in a lot of situations, so I can definitely understand why you would mainboard it. Finding it off of the Elven Mercenary, probably not your ideal situation, though.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. So we're seeing some development here by the Squirtle player. They're adding some value into their round. Vishra on the monsters, if he can force him out late enough, he should have an edge. Because monsters do very, very well in top decking mode just due to their faction ability. Even if they only keep something relatively small like a 6, they still will probably win the top deck mode. And if he can force out the card that will get buffed by these Dragoons, that will give him a very powerful round 3.
We actually see the Leshen getting played out this round. Do you think? Ooh, followed up by Phil and Tredenmirth.
Big Bork. Now we do have the D-Shackles and the Zap. So we have answers for this. We don't even need the Zap, in fact. It's at 1 strength, so we can go ahead and use Triss or something else. This is gonna warrant a Zap.
That Villain Tredenmirth base strength nerf to 7, definitely lining up very nicely with Salzar's Thunder.
Yeah. And you could say, okay, 2 bronzes for a gold. Not an amazing, efficient way of dealing that as the monsters player, but at the same time, I mean, Bork is a very pivotal card to the Squirtle deck. I mean, the deck is not necessarily built around Bork, but in a way, like, all of its cards really enable you to run Bork, just like the whole idea of the deck. And so it was a very good counter coming down.
We see this ambush card getting played against the monsters' melee row, most likely a Dolbathon of Trappers. Do you think that what really is going to be activating that? Is he expecting we have 6 cards remaining in hand for the Squirtle player. Reasonably, one of them could be Yavin, but we do not have Brewer to guarantee that any longer.
That is a very strange card to see coming down. That is very, very surprising after the nerf. And main decking it too as well. Huh.
Oh, and there's the Yavin.
Yeah, man, I guess there is a lot of roast stacking going around these days, but at the same time, it's not valued too much above, say, a Lacerate. It'll get pulled randomly as Lacerate in the same way, just Rally instead of Mark. I wonder about that. It could be quite interesting if that card got discovered and started to see play, because there is a lot of roast stacking going around.
And also the surprising thing here, even with the nerf to Yavin, really trying to make it a little bit more impactful on when you want to decide to play a spy. And this is a must-win round for Donkey Hot, and we're looking at, 46 points down? 36?
Yeah, 36. But yeah, that is a huge disparity. And best case scenario, we're looking at, Scorch, Eggless Scorch is like a neat combo, but even that, just doesn't take that much off that. Okay, that's 1 down. So we're looking at, 25 now? Okay,
I'm definitely liking this very aggressive playstyle coming up from Vishra round 2. After having won round 1 against the Squirtle list that definitely wants to just kind of bump up a Kirin, buff up a Teruvial, forcing that out to keep them alive round 2 really just neuters their round 3 game plan.
Yeah. And he's got to hit a Merc there, which is potentially a teensy bit telling that he has Fog, because there's generally very slightly more points ahead of Merc to back you than the Merc there, unless you're bluffing Fog, of course.
Well, he does have Dagon still available to him, so it could reasonably be any weather.
Well, that's true.
Now, what I am curious on is if this Ghoul will get played this round, or I think this might be a pretty decent time to pass.
I think the Yorvith came down and really, if it's forcing out the Necker as a keep, right? And it's pretty important therefore to play the Ghoul here, I think, because you really don't want to have to keep the Necker. Although he is, I think he only has 1 more Necker in his deck, so maybe I'm wrong about that.
It's looking like it only is 1 more Necker in the deck. And there's the Nature's Gift Scorch. 16 strength removed. Still needs to play at least still an 12 points, 13 points in order to keep afloat.
Yep. It's gonna be tricky. That is gonna be tricky. Aglaeus doesn't. Does Aglaeus do it? It doesn't, does it? There's nothing that comes down.
No,
It looks like it's gonna have to be 2 cards, but he'll presumably be able to go into round 3 with his very buffed card. It looks like his last non-buffed card is gonna be played here. Maybe. That's interesting. Maybe he buffed it once. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, that's actually a 2 buff. But there we go, that 13 points I was talking about, 9 plus 4. Keeping him afloat, I actually lost track of how many times he has been buffing, so I'm not sure if that remaining card is a buffed card or not.
Oh, you and me both, Dale. You and me both. Now, we're going to see the Roach being kept here, which is normally completely useless, although since there is no gold card coming down, it does still represent 3 points. Not terrible, not terrible. 3 points can really matter in this sort of nail-biter round 3 scenarios.
Here we will, let's see the either Ghoul or Ekimara. I think either one would be totally fine. That's a 10-point Ghoul. 19-0 with an additional 9 threatening. I'm sorry, 20-0 because of the Consume. And that was his buffed card. So forcing out the Kirin round 2, a very aggressive playstyle from Vishra in round 2, in order to ensure that round 3 just wasn't looking like anything for the Scoia'tael player with Donkey Hot.
Yep. Very, very dominant. I'm really interested in this deck that Vishra has came up with. It is pretty original, all things considered. Like, he has some cards in there that I really haven't been seeing a lot of.
It seems like a very Consume light with a nice, healthy mix of control.
Yeah, that is true. And a lot of people, they did somewhat kind of drop monsters because it got nerfed. People tend to, I think, overreact with nerfs sometimes. But we're seeing monsters being played here to very good effect. Looks like he's deciding on a sideboard situation now against the matchup of Control Scoia'tael. Do we know exactly what his sideboard was? Do we have info on that?
We do have info on that somewhere. I'm trying to look it up now.
Yeah, because I'd be interested to see what both of these players' sideboards are, to see which cards they decided to tech in this matchup. The sideboard format is really, it's very it's interesting. It's nuanced. It really makes you think about designing your sideboards. Like, for example, I didn't. I'm always gonna blame my elimination on that. Well, and the misplays. But
well, it's not one; it's the other.
there's tertiary options.
No, and I am seeing all of the main lists that were given out, but I'm not finding the sideboards just yet.
Well, I do have it, and we are looking at the leader screen right now. I do have it on good authority, as I've talked to Vishra about this a little bit. He did sideboard Aridin, and he's presumably thinking about swapping Dagon for Aridin right now. That's what that consideration is looking like.
Well, I would definitely say against the Control Scoia'tael list, though whether not as useful. Most of the time, Dagon's going to be just used as a rally, I think.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Aridin's very controllable coming down at that 11. It's not a great number. Not great at all.
It looks like the only sideboard considerations there were to add in Avalok and add in Aromancy and taking out the Roach.
Okay. Interesting.
So I am a very good fan of taking out the Roach there. If you're going to add in an Avalok, typically with Roach you want to have as many opportunities with your gold cards to pull Roach out as possible. And if you're going to be switching out a loyal gold card for a disloyal gold card, I think you're definitely decreasing the chances that you will be able to consistently pull Roach.
Yeah. It'd be running Roach in a consume deck is it does sound it does sound kind of funny, because a ghoul's gonna come down and eat that Roach sometime. But I'm interested to see what the Control Scoia deck will tech here. I actually think Control Scoia is one of the decks that I think has a lot of potential that has yet to be unlocked. Like I kind of popularized the Dwarf deck, regrettably, but I really I think Control Square became really underrated, and people kind of started going to my deck, and it's kind of unfortunate because I think it really kind of it left it behind. I really miss Control Square. I think it's one of the most interesting ways to play the game.
And here we see game 2 now starting, and I was gonna say Vishra's hand was looking pretty good, only drawing one of the Crones, and then as always that third mulligan coming out and just to get you.
So this smuggler it has to be controlled by these thunders. Murktabraki obviously doesn't do enough damage as it'll buff it by 1 first. And unless he plans to just pass ahead of him, I mean, this smuggler has to die. I don't think there's really better thunder targets in this matchup. Hitting Dragoons is far from useless, as you could be denying a lot of Blue Mountain Commando value depending on the exact variant of the Control Square list. But I expect to see this smuggler getting zapped next turn.
I definitely agree with you. I think these Thunders are going to be very good at controlling this Hawker Smuggler. The 2 Thunders, maybe definitely you find the one target with the Hawker Smuggler, and then really in this Control Square Hotel matchup, as you mentioned, the only other targets are trying to hit those Dragoons just to possibly deny some of the Blue Mountain Commandos.
That's interesting. So, I mean, that sort of looks like it's Ciaran, but I mean, the real question is Ciaran and to reveal. Is Vishra going to play one more card in here for fear of losing on even cards to a reveal bluff? I mean, we didn't even see to reveal last game, but he might have sideboarded it. We might not have just seen it. Now he's gonna play the safe road.
I like the safe road here. I especially due to the fact that if that was Kieran drawn off of Brewer, unless he sideboarded out King of Beggars would have been the possibly strictly better option, being able to not only thin but save that other silver card that you had. So he
That's
played
true.
Brewer, he had 2 more silver cards. So I think this is not Kieran.
Oh, but that's so much more the bluff potential, though. If you just go for the Ciaran right away, they think it's the to reveal because they're like, he would have pulled the King of Beggars if it was the Ciaran.
And it is
was
the
the
to
to reveal coming down. Wow. And the round's gonna be taken there.
Definitely a big blow for Vishra here, losing on equal cards. This just gives Don Quixote such an excellent opportunity to maybe not necessarily buff Kieran a bunch, but gives him the opportunity to play Kieran for additional card advantage.
Yeah, we will be seeing some pretty strong goals here coming down at 9 to 11 strength roughly, given what's in the graveyard. And the graveyard is a bit more stacked compared to last game even, and the Crones really help with that. The Crones really have that good synergy with the ghouls, because you play the Crones early, you tempo pass or end a round early, whatever you want to do, and then the ghouls just come in at they feel like Nilfgaardian Knights, really, that are even better because they don't buff your Necker and they don't reveal. Revealing's not huge, but it's not negligible.
And we see this last Necker, and I think it's going to be the end of that Necker. Again, only running the 3 Neckers and only the 1 Necker Warrior makes it a little vulnerable to not have Neckers coming out once the previous Neckers died. Really hoping to hit that Necker Warrior, and we see a decent amount of control coming from Squirtle, and that's a huge scorch.
Is a hit with that RNG there. And this is Don Quixote's round to lose, so Vishra has to try to keep up here. There's another ghoul, and there's that Nilfgaardian Knight.
Now, these ghouls definitely doing work with this deck, as you said, with the Crones. Big bodies in the graveyard to just eat up. And
yeah, I think ghouls are they went very, very underlooked. I mean, ghouls from a very early standpoint on, like several months ago, people looked at Consume monsters and were like, ghouls were good, but everything else is kind of awkward. But now that Consume is a thing, ghouls are kind of making a comeback slowly.
We did only see 1 silver card remaining from that Brewer Hoog poll in round 1. Presumably, Yavin is in his hand currently, and I think that D-Shackles solidifies that assumption, because if that is the Double-Thon Trappers again, here comes Yavin more than likely, and that's going to clear off that row.
Yes, I think so. Very interesting tech, that Trapper. I mean, row stacking is just, it really is very popular, I guess.
And a very safe, I like this Ekimara play, trying to, you know that that's going to be a Double-Thon Trapper,
Yeah.
so trying to save that strength where you can.
Yeah, it's very good. Comes down with the utility. It's sort of like a, like a Blue Mountain Commando onto an Agile unit, but with the further synergy of giving yourself a 10 to keep with the monster's passive. Which is great.
I think Vishra's actually in a bit of a tight spot here, unless he gets a pass coming out from Donkey Hot soon.
Absolutely.
He is keeping the Ekimara for 10, which is very solid, but that currently just a completely dead Aeromancy in hand. Not getting any value out of that, so I think he gets a little lucky here that Donkey Hot decided not to push further. But that is still 2 card advantage now to Donkey Hot going into round 3, which is what this Goytel deck really loves to have.
Now, I'm honestly, in regards to this matchup, in regards to what happened in round 1, I'm going to come out and say that I think that if you nail the bluff with Teruvial and you take round 1, that is almost an auto win. I think Squirtle has really, really good stats if it can win round 1, because the faction ability is, it really comes out in its full potential in round 2. It really does.
This Velen Tredenmirth just completely seals the deal. There is nothing left for Vishra. That
deal was sealed.
A couple of, especially that top deck round 3, just not doing anything for him. Woodland Spirit still available. Actually, all of his golds still available, still stuck in that deck.
So he's passing instead of conceding here to kind of see what he has, see what he chooses to win with.
And that's the other thing with the sideboard format. I think it is maybe an overlooked option, but you want to know what your opponent has. You want to know what their sideboard possibilities are. So the more information that you can get, since you're playing against the same deck, I do like the pass instead of the forfeit there, because now he knows that Eorvith's still in the deck, possibly getting swapped out this next round, but more than likely unlikely. But you get more information from your opponent if you stick around in the games.
Information is just incredibly important in this format. I'm personally shocked that we didn't see any Emir decks in the top 4, because I if you play Emir, you get to see what they have, and that information, you know how it like buffs your spotters and stuff. Well, that buff, that information carries over into future rounds. You know what they have.
Well, I will say, maybe Imhir wouldn't have been. I don't know if you're just doing it half jokingly or not, but I think Imhir.
Oh, that was full jokingly, Dale.
I'm actually being a little serious here. Imhir in the main deck, and then swap out a different leader for the following rounds. So using Imhir to gain as much information as possible about your opponent's deck, with the intention of losing the first game.
Dale, I was joking.
No, I agree with you. The Emir's, he needs something.
yeah. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do for him. I mean, because they sort of did a similar thing to Bran, because Bran not just discards your cards, but it also buffs their base strength a little bit. They could do something in that vein to Emir. I don't know. I'm interested to see how they plan to make him viable, because I think it'd be very boring solution if, say, he just revealed 5 cards instead. But B, I don't even know if that would make him viable, honestly. I'm not even joking. There's just, I don't know. I feel like this, especially as more cards get printed that can reveal cards, there's just better alternatives.
I'm in agreement with you on that one. My concern with Imhir is that everybody who I talk to, the first comparison is to Bran. And Bran has been in such a bad spot for such a long time. I think that they might have finally found the sweet spot for him, so I'm hoping that they can do the same for him here.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Brand's got those cards. You've got the Raiders, you've got the Morkvarg. It's when this card gets discarded, do X. What Emmer really needs is a card that says, when this card gets revealed, do X, and then he hopes that the opponent puts them in his deck. Okay, tangentially, no, joking aside, I'd be interested to see a Nilfgaard card that said something similar, and then it synergizes with your own reveals, like Vadir Deridox.
That might be interesting, actually, to have a card that, when it's revealed in your Nilfgaardian Knights would synergize with it, Vatir de Redu would synergize with it, something like that. Nub telling me to mute you already.
Mute me? Oh, no. Oh. This is quite the intermission we're having.
Yep, with Vishra's videos, they did actually not... unfortunately, we did not have time to chop those up and get just these individual matches, so you get to have a little bit of meme time with Swimmendale.
Yeah. We literally have them right where we want them to. They're literally a captive audience.
Let me double check here. This next match should be starting shortly for us.
Yeah, I expect so. Any second now.
Actually, we have, according to my notes, approximately 5 minutes more.
5 minutes more? Why don't we just skip ahead?
Let me try and see if we can get that. Yeah.
It's a YouTube video, Dale.
Yeah, but it's synchronized across
click-
a bunch of people, and it makes it difficult.
Just click the bar. Oh, there you go. You did it. We just we really cut out the middleman there. There we go. Oh, I think you nailed that timing. This looks to be about it.
Just currently a little bit ahead. 1 sec while we get this to synchronize correctly.
No problem, no problem.
Okay. So we should have just jumped ahead about 4.5 minutes.
Great. That was good though. That was a nice healthy intermission.
But here we go into the third and final match of this semifinals round against Vishra versus Donkey Hot. So winner takes all, moving on to the finals. Loser going to go and join HG3 down in that bronze match.
Okay, don't say it like that.
No, don't say it. You're welcome to correct me.
I want to, but I don't want to be mean. God, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So we're looking at a similar hand. We've got both the Eldest Thunders to come down and control, a Smuggler or a Dragoon to prevent it as a flip target. We got Crones, 1 Crone, unfortunately, 2 Ghouls, and we've got the Necker Warrior. So we've got a pretty optimal hand, all things considered. I'm sure a couple of those bronze cards could be changed, but it looks pretty good for our Monsters player Vishra.
I definitely agree. The Thunders for the control, only the single Crones, and what has, I think, been the bane of those Neckers, not finding that early Necker Warrior, and here we have it in the opening hand.
Yeah, and it is great. And I honestly, I still do agree with the decision to just run one of them, because, not drawing it does hurt your potential a little bit, but at the same time, you're not all in. You don't want to draw too many of them, because you don't have a way to set off your Neckers, so just drawing them dead later is really not helpful.
And we do see the first of the ambush cards being played by Donkey Hot, and again, that's the second time this series that we have seen Elven Mercenary into a mostly useless Dimeridium Shackles. But I do I'm not sure if that was True Reveal or Kieran that was played, most likely My guess is on Kieran, since it is in the siege row. There's not too many more units that are going to get played back there, especially in comparison to the melee or ranged. But since Teruviel was played in the last game of this series, it's a little bit of a toss-up now. It really adds to the secrecy of these ambush cards that there's a very good possibility that it is Teruviel. It's a very good possibility that it is Kieran.
Yep. And I don't know. I think it's best I think it's best to play it safe in general. Like it's just so bad for you if that's to reveal and if you're not prepared. And we'll see this Merc Debrecki. He hit the last crone to threaten the Scorch, even if he doesn't have it. Like it's very possible he doesn't have it, but it's what you do either way.
Oh, and if he does have that Scorch, that 3 strength increase from that ghoul is not what he was looking for.
Whoa. Huge swing here. Although, on the other hand, in theory, you could feel less bad about this pass if you wanted to take it. You don't even have to really guess if that's the Arnet to reveal.
Yeah, I think either way, you're looking at getting a nice card advantage against a Squirtle list that really wants to be the one in control of the moves in the final round.
And the Woodland Spirit will be coming out here to try to catch up. Roach fortunately lands on an unaffected row, and we're looking at a pretty big power disparity here. It's going to be 10 if that's to reveal, and at the time it was going to be only 15 if it was Ciaran.
And we see King of Beggars getting played and Kieran not getting pulled, so either Kieran is already on the field, or did we see Kieran the last game? Do you think that got sideboarded out for Teruviel?
That's interesting. That's huge mind game potential. Actually, I wonder about that one because he's thinking it's Ciaran now. Like he has to think that, but it might have actually gotten boarded out. That seems like such a very risky decision on Don Quixote's part because like Ciaran is a very good card. Honestly, but I guess the threat of it's real there, regardless of whether it's in your deck or not.
We see a nice Nilfgaardian ghoul getting played.
Yeah, and like I said, it's better. Like it buffs your neckers. That's great. It doesn't reveal. Like these ghouls are just sleepers.
Huge information getting revealed. The Blue Mountain Commando getting played onto the Dragoon, but I did not see the pop-up for selecting a unit.
So there are no non-gold units in hand on Don Quixote's part, unless we.
Well, I might have missed it.
I did miss it. I'm going off of you. We're gonna see a refog here. Just stay in the round, and
I do like the fog here. If that is to reveal in that backline, that's an additional 8 strength threatening, so that'd be a 34 to 31. But we do have the card advantage coming out of it regardless. I think Vishra in a very powerful position here. Only another silver card, potentially threatened by River Hoog, whatever is the last card remaining in Don Quixote's hand. But we're looking at another first light, most likely into a rally. Decent chance of pulling a Necker, but a couple of good targets there, and another just solid 12 strength gold unit. I think this round is looking very much in Vishra's favor.
Yeah. Yeah, what is this? What is this card threatening? D-bomb there to heal up. That's interesting. He's really threatening that to reveal.
And we do see the Triss getting played, solid 12 strength, also removing what Teruviel would have been buffing if that was Teruviel, and we do see the final silver card, Yavin, coming out. Are we thinking just a pass here that is now a 30 points up?
Buff Teruviel the entire
was
time.
Buff Teruviel.
Wow.
It's he might
cool
have sideboarded out Kieran.
Yeah, he had to have. He absolutely had to have. There's no other way if that is to reveal and the King of Beggars went off. That's a very interesting decision. I respect that. That's cool.
Time Shackles picked up, and the Eki... No, that's not the AMR. That's the other one.
Yeah, that's Katakan. What is he here? Is he going for full power with something like the Yavin? There's the concede. Okay. So it looks like Vishra is moving forward. Am I correct?
You are correct, Vishra. Moving on to the finals to join Turkmen, and Donkey Hot moving to face HG3 in the bronze match. Figure out who can get that coveted third place. Let's go ahead and bring it back to our casting desk. Hello, everybody.
Hello. That was a nice match.
Was it
was,
though? Was it?
It was interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It
interesting
was
is nice.
it was pretty interesting at both ends. Like I like both of those decks played. I think they're both kind of interesting, and I think they're both a little bit underrated as well.
Someone needs to explain to me how sideboarding out your win condition is the solution. Why would you sideboard out the Kieran? That doesn't make any sense.
It's the meme games, dude.
He was literally relying on winning the mind game round 1 to win the game.
Yeah, but if you win the mind game, that's
Yeah,
GG.
It's
literally
one
GG.
time and then he got wrecked. Like that's yeah. I got triggered a little bit.
I don't know.
I think it's a
it was
very
gutsy.
yeah. I agree. Definitely gutsy. Gutsy is definitely the right word for it. Being able threatening. It's such a mind game because you're fully expecting Kieran and then to sideboard out Kieran and instead put in Teruvial. I think just that will get you a couple of those round wins that your opponent was like, oh, he just has Kieran, I'll just go ahead and pass. And it pops up with Teruvial and it's like, wait, what? It's a very easy way to win it. I would have liked to have seen Kieran re-sideboarded back into the main deck for game 3, however.
Yeah.
It's still a risk you
put
take.
your good cards back in the deck.
But the good cards are giving you value even when they're not in the deck, Faramir. Think about that.
So is that like Shiro who's OP when you're not playing him? Isn't
Yeah,
that the
exactly.
exact words?
Yeah, exactly. Shiru is an amazing card whenever you're not playing him.
Yeah. Those cards.
All right,
Right.
well, we have our bronze match, third place match getting played. It's going to be HG3 versus Donkey Hot. There we go. Getting names confused in my head, but I'm going to be continuing the cast, and instead of Swim, I've got Faramir with me, so looking forward to this. This should be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and
Good luck,
get
guys.
this rolling.
Get the show on the road. Go.
Okay, I got the names right. It is Donkey Hot versus HG3.
You did get it correct.
And we see Donkey Hot's Squirtle list that we just saw get, beaten, but I wouldn't say handedly beaten by Vishra. Definitely a lot of trickery going on and really trying to play up the secrecy of those ambush cards. These are now the base lists again, so we should be seeing Kieran in Donkey Hot's main deck here.
The thing is not running for me, by the way.
Well, it's not running for you.
Are you only running it on your
Uh-oh.
private stream thing?
Yeah,
Apparently I am.
it seems to be. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Why did it get... Oh, no, it was playing. Let's skip ahead.
Alright.
Technical difficulties, folks, it happens. Trying to coordinate across multiple time zones is such a fun thing to be doing.
Dale's fault.
Is it playing for you now?
Yes.
Okay.
All good. Opens up with a storm. Interesting that he still plays that card.
I definitely agree with you. The dual weather is getting a pretty serious nerf, but we have seen Aeromancy in this deck before. It actually is running both Aeromancy and the White Frost. Just really wants to get that fog effect out as much as possible.
I mean, he could just play bronze frogs, you know. I guess not. All right. So we saw the more standard tactic here from the control Skytel, which is just the Kieran pass round 1. Not much committed from HG3. Kind of got bad top deck, so getting that Wild Hunt Rider is not what you want.
No, and I think that's part of the risk that you run with running two of your different units that trying to muster is if you can't get them to be both played round 1, then you just have too many potentials for bad draws at round 2.
Well, he plays 3, right? He plays the Crones as well.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. He's running the Wild Hunt Riders as 1 muster unit, and the Crones as a 2nd muster unit.
Yeah, and the Foglets, that's 3.
Oh yeah, the Foglets. You're correct. Yep, I completely blanked out on the Foglets. So yeah, it's just too many. If he can hit that stride, hit that perfect opening hand, hit that opportunity to be able to play out all of these, it's going to be pretty good for him. But so many potentials for bad draws running that many muster units.
Interesting place to put the Dolbrethana Trapper. Very interesting.
And I do like maybe that second Wild Hunt Rider paying off, since the first Wild Hunt Rider just dies immediately to the Trapper.
Yeah. Value. It's all planned. Interesting that he played it on the melee row, considering that he knows there are still Crones in that deck. That would be much more value than the Wild Hunt Riders. Alright. It's not optimal here for Donkey Hot. He has to... What's the name of that card?
The Right Officer?
Brigade? Opposite, right. It's very unfortunate he has to bounce that, because he wants to be bouncing the Vrihot Dragoons, so... And buffing his Karen? No, Karen is not a card. The Kieran. So... It's very suboptimal that he has to bounce the officers, because this round doesn't really matter in points, right? He's probably going to win it, so he just wants to get those buffs going for the round 3.
I'm not sure if this round doesn't really matter. We have this is a must-win round for Donkey Hot, and looking at HG3's hand, we're seeing multiple golds. Avalok more than likely getting played this round as well. It looks like he's trying to just get ahead enough in points that he can play Avalok and still be ahead in points.
Yeah.
Very powerful plays still remaining for HG3 if he wanted to push this round. And judging by his playstyle during the previous semifinals match that we got to see, I'm inclined to think that he wants to just make Donkey Hot spin every single card that's in that hand, or just tear through the remaining 9 cards available.
Yeah, I agree that pushing round 2 against this kind of deck is really beneficial. And he does have the cards for it. He has 2 golden cards. He has enough weather cards. I don't like him using the Swallow Potion this early, because you can use it in a later stage when you know what minion is going to stay over into a potential round 3. So you want to be buffing that card, right? You don't want to use it this early. But I guess that prevented the Scorch, which he might have been playing around. Which he was.
I think he had better options with that Swallow Potion. I agree that it might have been maybe a little bit too early to use it.
No. Actually, he was playing around that Scorch. It'd be just sick, because the Merctive Record was setting it up that the Crones die, so that's a correct use.
If he used the Swallow Potion, he could have used it on a Wild Hunt Rider instead, buffing that to 9 strength, which would have been the Scorch target, saving all of the Crones.
Sure, but the 2 strength is pretty easy to remove, right? They're easier to remove than 8. So I think it was fine. Okay, there's the Vrihot Dragoon. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have one in his hand, otherwise he would have played one earlier.
And was that a Vrihot Dragoon with nothing to buff again?
No, he buffed something. Just fast. He has a Kieran in hand. So
it's too quick for me.
Yeah, well, he definitely has the Kieran still in hand, right? So that is the one he's going to buff. And if the monster deck can establish card advantage before round 3, then he always has... Oh, actually, no, he used the Dagon. I kind of like keeping the Dagon in this matchup for the last round. If you have card advantage, you can just play it on the row the Karen comes down on, and you just win the game.
Actually, Villain Trentonworth coming out. This Geralt Ard still looking for that 3rd unit to push into the fog to try and get as much value as possible. Kind of a late Ancient Foglet. This fog has been around for a while.
Yeah. I mean, it's not what I said, right? This run doesn't really matter. He kind of wants to get rid of his Thunders and his Foglet, and then he just kind of wants to pass and put up the strength for the last round. That's what I would do. Especially because Donkey Hut hasn't buffed his Kieran at all. He played one Rhyhorn Dragoon and that's it. So there's not going to be a lot of strength in that unit. A little bit early the Yavin here.
Looking like Villain Tretmarth's going to go ahead and take care of that Ancient Foglet and take care of the Yavin. Pretty impactful. Lots of strength being removed from HG3's side of the board, but again, look at still 6 cards remaining in Donkey Hot's hand, and I'm just seeing HG3 somewhat run out of really good answers.
Oh, good Thunder here. That's gonna take care of his whole board. I would have liked him to set up the other Foglet sooner. You can still Thunder later. I don't really see why. You might have missed an opportunity to pass here as well. Just when he was 15 points ahead, and the opponent just played the Borg. So.
See, but the issue with passing is that you're really trying to force out the remaining cards.
Well, yeah, but why do you want to force him out, right? Usually you want to force out the big trap because he buffed him, but this game he only used one Rhyhorn Dragoon all game. Like he only has played one buff, so that's not really that big of a concern, right? Like I'm sure he's fine with just zapping here and then passing, because he already saw like what 2 goals now from the. I don't know why he's not killing the King of Beggars. Like, it's kind of indicating him wanting to play the Woodland Spirit this turn, which I don't agree with at all.
Well, I think it fits more of HG3's playstyle, where the one that we saw during the semifinals previously was just playing out
while we still can.
basically his entire hand. But how many more points can he reasonably put up on the board? He's playing the Karen Thier.
I think Karen Thier is lower value than the Woodland Spirit, but I don't really like this. Like in the last game, he had a good advantage on points, and this game he just doesn't. He's just too far behind in points to catch up. And this has to be a pass here. There's no point.
I believe a 16-point Woodland Spirit, so it would force out one more card plus an additional point on the Ancient Foglet, putting it at 33 to 31. But I do not see him using that buffed card this round.
It's only the Kieran is only at 5. It's not strong. It's only a 5 attack unit, but if you give up the Woodland Spirit this turn, then you might risk that being enough next round.
I definitely agree. If you're looking at a 16-point Woodland Spirit, either this round or next round, I think it's much more powerful next round, and it looks like HG3 is in agreement.
I would have liked to see him keep the Karen Thier as well. That's another 10. And Squirtle is pretty hard pressed to bring up that amount of power on its own if they didn't get the buffs round 2. And it looks like he just didn't draw his Rhyhorn Dragoons. That's a good draw. The Solar Push, that's just 8 strength. Flat out. It's pretty good.
Not bad. He did have a dead First Light, and the Commander's Horn would have probably been the strictly best draw, but I mean, whenever you're looking at your remaining cards and one of them is just completely dead, I think you're happy with taking anything.
Yeah. True, I hit a 2 out of 3 there. It's pretty good. Yeah, and that we're looking at a 5 strength Kieran, and maybe 2 cards that are golden optimally, which probably one is Saskia and the other one, I don't know.
Well, there's that 5 strength.
Probably something like a Yorweth. Yeah, it's 5 because you only played
buff the Rabid Wolf here. I think as long as any target that's not the Fogless, I think it would have been fine.
Well, I don't playing on the Ancient Fogler wouldn't have been correct either because of the Glaze Scorch. But well, I guess disconnect and just rage quit the game.
And I believe that we were informed about that actually, so I didn't let you know. So the remaining cards, let me go ahead and double check my notes on this one. And I think Nub is in the chat, so if Nub could help me out here as well. This was an administrative decision by Nub to let HG3 take the game due to the remaining cards not being, just having no possibility of catching up with the strength.
Yeah. I don't think there were 2 cards you could have had, like maybe like Glaze Scorch.
It was Oglaze and an Overhead Officer.
Yeah, that doesn't Or does that do it? No, right hat does what? 2 damage.
1 damage
Oh,
and buff your
that's
weakest
6?
unit by 2. So
No,
we're
no,
looking-
it does 6 It does 6. It's a 6 ring plus the glaze. That's another 9 plus 5, 14. So that's 20. Oh, yeah, that wouldn't have been enough. So
So the first of the third place matches does go to
think-
HG3, and we are going to be going ahead and moving on to our second match. Just let me get this set up 1 second.
I think at least. Well, I'd have to double check, but I'm not sure. If that would have been enough.
Alright, let me make sure that this is playing for you, Faramir. I don't want to leave you behind again.
Yeah, it's not playing for me. Please fix.
I'm trying. It won't let me play.
Not like this.
No, just a little bit of
Chat, please.
technical difficulties, folks. Oh, there we go. Looks like it's playing.
If this was Hearthstone, you could have 2 hyper RNG cards and you'd never be able to call this. That's
Very true.
That's true, McPeter. Oh god, that 10's
Oh
garbage.
my
3
oh.
Foglets, 2 Wildheart Riders, and 2 Clones. Oh my god.
This
Well,
is...
he's not winning this game. That's what happens sometimes when you put too many
Too many
units.
musters. Oh my goodness, this is just
Oh,
disaster.
watch him draw the 3rd crown with us. Watch him.
Oh,
Oh, I did it! I called it!
oh no.
Oh, this is not his game. Clearly not his game. Oh,
This is, I think, the worst. They can always come back to bite you for these muster units, and there they all are. Trying in your opening hand
He
after
literally-
mulligans.
he literally threw all of them. He got 3. Oh no, you missed the 1 Wildheart Rider. He drew all the other 3. The other 6. Ah. Alright, well, this
Well,
is
we
a
do
good pass
see
here.
King of Beggars going into possibly Kieran. It's pulling the lowest strength unit, and it is on his side, so I don't think it could be anything else.
This is a good pass here, even though he only has 6 strength, because your opponent doesn't want to give up his Kieran, because that's the unit he wants to buff, so... Yeah, even with just 6 strength, it's a good pass. If he decides to win the round here with the card, it's usually pretty bad for the Squirtle. Because they don't have a good unit to buff anymore. Like, the unit they're gonna buff now is vulnerable to removal.
Yep. And yeah, there goes the Kieran. So no more good ambush cards to buff up and play on your own side, so whatever he does decide to buff is going to be, as you mentioned, vulnerable to anything. But what answers really exist for HG3? I guess the weather from Dagon would definitely be...
Yeah, the weather, right? Because now he doesn't have the card advantage, so he can just keep a weather or an aeromancy, right? For the Teruvial or whatever. Maybe he has a Teruvial, maybe not. Maybe he's just gonna buff something like
Everything all right?
an officer or something. So
Yep. Well, I will say, for as bad as his opening hand was, at least he didn't draw the remaining musters.
oh man,
Round 2.
that is he is truly blessed with some good RNG this game.
But look at all these
I
low
don't-
impact plays, very small
I don't
numbers
like
and-
the
Yeah,
I don't like the Wild Hunt Warrior here. There's not the time to play it. He's still behind. This is a good pass for Skodel here.
because Squirtel's looking for that card advantage, and if he wanted to pass
You just
now,
gave it
that's-
to him, yeah.
You just gave it to him.
That is not a good play. I would have liked to see a Foglet there.
But Donkey
An
Hawk
ancient Foglet.
considering continuing to play.
Or Bone. I think it's fine keeping him playing here because you still have the turn advantage. Because right now you're going first, but obviously next turn the monster's gonna go first, so you have the last card, which would be fine with an agile unit that you're gonna buff. So I think it's fine. Keep going if he keeps going here, especially if he still has Yavin on his hand or something. Then it's pretty easy to get card advantage.
Very true.
Dalberthana, he put it in the right spot this time, I think, because he knows there's still crones coming.
You don't want
I
to
didn't
deny
like
that
him.
sick Foglet value?
I didn't like him putting it into the into the melee row last time. There's not many melee minions for the hunter. For the hunter. For the...
I didn't mind it
I will
as
call
much,
it as hunter.
honestly, because if he only had the singular Wild Hunt rider, and the double Thunder Trapper killed it, then that would have left 2 Wild Hunt riders in the deck.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, maybe an anti-thinning play. Didn't work out that game, but I mean, this game he just drew out of his musters, so there was no point in preventing.
Oh, yeah. And perhaps that's why that double Thunder Trapper was in the deck to begin with, is to try and prevent these mustard type units. It does deal 4, so if you were expecting to see a lot of Northern Realms, especially with those Temerian Foot Soldiers being nearly in every Northern Realms deck that I've seen so far, that would be excellent denial.
That value though. That
We
value.
do get the final Foglet out of the deck. Slowly
Finally,
but surely,
the
HC3
last
is making
muster
his
unit.
draws for round 3 a little bit better.
Alright, he needs to set up something here that he doesn't get too affected by the board. I'm pretty sure the Yaven's gonna come down in this time frame. This doesn't look good.
Yeah, it definitely looks
This
like
game
the
doesn't
Yaven,
look good for HC3.
It does not. The Yaven soaking up one of the Villain Threatened Earth's Scorch effects, but the question is, what is going to be that second one?
I don't really see the point of the Currenti here, but sure, put it out. Probably not gonna be able to keep it anyway.
I think the other, you were looking at what's remaining. You know this Villain Threatened Earth's going to be going off in a couple of turns. You have Ancient Foglets that are going to buff themselves up and poke their heads out for the Scorch. You have a 7 strength remaining Crone that's going to just get Scorched. You definitely don't want to play the Woodland Spirit yet, so I think it's just an act of what is my least valuable card to play.
I think he might just want to command his one that row, so all the bad minions die basically. I think that's what he's considering.
Actually, with the Commander's Horn change, do you think there's any possibility that he's trying to keep his side of the board below 8 strength? Say he wanted to Commander's Horn the opponent's side.
I mean, he could do that. He could just horn the Blue Mountain Commando, or the 2 Elven Mercenaries. It's very possible, but if the Yaven comes down here, that doesn't matter.
With the 2 Elven Mercenaries now, they'd only get buffed up to 5 though, and playing the Crone at 7 is now going to still be the second Scorch target.
Well, but yeah, obviously that still dies anyway. But
And actually, no Yaven getting played, so little unexpected. I was
trying to set it up now. Yeah.
Yep. Trying to set up as much value as he can off of this Villain Threatened Earth, really making sure that all of those 4s get destroyed.
So yeah, what's the best player? He could horn the 2 Elven Mercenaries, which would kill the Mercenaries and his Siege Row plus the Blue Mountain Commando, which would be not great. I don't see what he wants to get from the Dagon here.
Not sure. If he does Dagon and Clear Skies the melee row, he's still losing all of the 4s and then all of the 2s, but at least it's his opponent's losing most of his strength as well. But you're looking to play another card to catch up after that, so not sure if that's the best option.
Yeah, the Horn would do the same.
Yeah. I think my biggest concern with the Horn at this point is it's representing a lot of value round 3 just because of the Foglets and the Woodland Spirit and the Ancient Foglets.
Yeah. What's the likelihood that he's gonna keep both his Foglets, both his Woodland Spirit and his Horn? It's pretty low. Like at least one of these cards is gonna get forced this round. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the Horn. So yeah, I don't know why he kept the Foglets for this long, but I guess they're gonna stay into the next round now, and it's pretty bad for him here.
And that is okay. I am paying super close attention. There is no remaining cards to buff.
No, that's just a game bug. See,
it is a game bug.
Not turning over.
No.
Oh no. Wait.
Well,
yeah, that's right.
5
yeah, you're right.
Foglet pretty nice here.
Oh, you're right. There's no minion left to buff. There's probably just gold cards in the hand.
Possibly silvers, possibly specials.
Yep.
Scorch getting played. I think we have seen Nature's Gift in this list before as well, so
That would be devastating here.
Luckily, he does have the Ancient Foglet here. So, and he does go with the Nature's Gate. So, had he not had that Ancient Foglet, that was going to be all of those 2s gone as well.
Is Donkey Hut gonna lose again because he's not gonna have enough strength for the last round? Is that happening again? Yeah, it's happening
might
again.
be because
Yeah, there's no card that beats the Woodland Spirit. Like,
Woodland Spirit's such a powerful card, especially round 3, especially with the Foglets, because you're looking at a 16 strength gold with no required setup prior.
I don't know why he wastes the Borg, to be honest, on the run. That's inconsequential.
Oh, and your favorite White Frost showing up.
Well, that's gonna be a Frost at least. Huh? Maybe he's gonna bait like a first light with that. That's stupid.
He's actually looking at his opponent's list that has already been played, but that is 3 first lights currently already played. Oglay's not played yet, so
yeah.
If he does go and try and bait out the Oglay's first light here, then that would be pretty good.
Should have been a fog. I think there's. I don't think. Oh, well, he gets value. The 1 Elven Mercenary still in the deck.
And actually, even if that is a
Yeah, it doesn't matter now.
no, it was a good Frost, I think. Even if it is Oglay's first light, you're looking at what is that, 10 to 6, and forfeit coming out. So congratulations to HG3, our 3rd place winner in the Gwentlemen's Open for February.
Yeah, I wasn't very convinced by Donkey Hut's play, to be honest. I don't think he knew what the win conditions of his deck were and didn't play around them correctly, and that's why HG3 won. Or you left too many openings for HG3 to come back into the game when you shouldn't be able to.
And that opening hand from HG3 as well, to be able to turn that into a victory, I think is incredibly impressive. Granted, I think I agree with you. Donkey Hut left him a lot of openings to get back into that game, and HG3 just took every single one in stride in order to take that victory.
Yeah. Oh well, 3rd place for HG3. I think it's pretty well deserved. He piloted his deck pretty well, I think. It's a pretty good monster plays. And yeah, let's see who wins the final.
That was an impressive draw, though. I've never seen something like that in my life.
Yeah, what do you think of that draw? That was pretty crazy.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, that was
and on
one
a
of
tournament.
the worst draws I've ever seen.
Yeah,
We still won that game.
I have
We
no
won that
idea
game,
how that
like-
happened.
Man.
Well, alright, we're going to be going into the finals. Got to keep things rolling. So we have Swim and Ruben casting the finals between Minturkman and Vishra. So hopefully you're all in for a lot of fun. I'm going to be working a little bit behind the scenes, doing a little bit of skipping. So we are going from Vishra's point of view again. And again, it's just one continuous video throughout. They're not spliced. So bear with me as I try and make it as smooth as possible for you all. But Swim and Ruben, give me just a moment to set this up and the floor will be yours.
Sure. Swim looks ready, so we are good to go.
Let's take it away, Rubo.
Swim is chilling again.
Yeah, dude. This is great.
So the finals will be a best of 5. Now we've seen a best of 3 every time, because it's the finals, it's a best of 5, portraying a little bit more skill to win on a longer term. So this is gonna definitely prove interesting, to say the least. Are you expecting anything crazy from the finals, Swim?
Well, it's Mentorkmen's Northern Realms versus Vishra's Consume hybrid deck. I wonder what to call that.
It's
close enough.
Yeah.
I mean, the real question is will the Pavetta be able to come down in that matchup like she did before? Because I mean, she's a lot less good against that deck than she is against weather monsters. I'm not sure if she's even worth bringing out.
But if you get some neckers down on the board and you bring up Pavetta, she can do some real work right there. Because if she kills the neckers and they come from your deck, and then you kill them again with Pavetta, so that is really strong. If they're not
That is
buffed,
true.
of course. Yeah.
That is absolutely true.
So it's basically filtering out.
I don't see why we wouldn't see the Pavetta come down in the sideboard.
I'm hoping, actually, because it's a lot more interesting to see Pavetta plays rather than your staple kind of deck that everyone's playing. I love it when people make some changes. That's why I love a sideboard in a deck. It makes it so much more interesting. It proves the skill of a player. Especially that first match is also really different from anything else. And then
Yeah,
then basically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, making a sideboard really is just going to change a lot there. Okay.
So Roach in the opening hand is a bummer, but nothing game breaking here. Getting Triss Marigold might prove very valuable here. 2 Alzur's Thunders in this matchup. Would you keep one, both, or?
I don't think so. There's not much to to control here. I mean, you can deny Reaver Scouts their value, but that's about it. People don't really run Reaver Hunters anymore.
So the Northern Realms player, Mentorkman, has to start here, and he starts with Reaver Scouts. We know that he runs Reaver Scouts in his base deck, I mean, how will he? We'll see if he revives it with Neneke, or if he even runs Neneke, or if he's gonna get much play into reviving that, because once it's gone, basically the next one you draw. Oh yeah. Well, that's a real bummer for him. Actually, yeah, denying him a base land, but I don't think he had anything planning for the Reaver Hunter, since he's already going on his way. Yeah,
but that certainly is just another one of those like little upsides about this Ghoul card.
Yeah, it's definitely a good card, and can prove very worthy in many cases. So we see the staple Temerian Foot Soldiers almost run in every single Northern Realms deck, which is impressive.
Yeah.
Getting some more Neckers in his deck. This is pretty staple. Oh, there comes the Yennefer, and he does play Roach. Last time we saw him switch it out for something else against the Monster Weather matchup, which makes sense. But yeah, I think she's gonna do some real work here. He has no real way.
The Ekimara is gonna come down, and it's gonna really shut that down. I probably expect it to come down next turn at an 11, and just really shut down that.
I expect the Ekimara to be punished in some way, but indeed it's gonna. We'll just see how fast he plays the Ekimaras, because right now it's kind of a thing that he needs to do real fast before that Yennefer starts digging into all those cards.
Yeah, and he is also incentivized to re-weather the fog at some point.
So he's going to immediately start with it.
Do this first for more value,
which is smart.
Now, yeah, and since he's destroying the Necker, he will stay ahead, so he's good for the pass in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
he did just put another card in the graveyard as well.
We see Priscilla. Maybe he's getting out that second Reaver Hunter. Again, much less worth in value, because it will only get one out, and you could have played another bronze card here in this case. But it probably won't die. Maybe he will decide to use the Alzur's Thunder on it, just because he has not many other options.
I certainly expect to, yeah.
I think he should do that. He's, of course, Radoviding, so his Yennefer gets some more work done. But right now, I expect to see the Alzur's Thunder. It's definitely worth it in this case.
It's also going to give him his Katagan a target to keep it at 11. I'm not sure what's in the graveyard right now for the Katagan to eat.
I don't think there's a lot of significance.
Is it just the Necker? Or am I forgetting?
Is he passing?
Yeah,
that's a very interesting pass. All right.
Yeah.
He does. He has one card ahead. He does allow to thin out his deck a little more. This is an obvious pass as well. There's nothing that can be done after a pass for the Northern Realms player. So yeah, the Ekimara stays, of course, by Radovid. A pretty smart play as well by targeting that, also reducing his strength by quite a lot, so he keeps only a 5. But the Necker comes out as a 6, which is pretty valuable now with 11 power. But now the goal of the Radovid player here is to actually extend the round, to bait out some valuable cards, because he doesn't have to win this card, and he just wants to gain some card advantage here. But it's not looking like he has it.
It's gonna be, and here he is trying to deny all the Neckers. Now there's one more Necker in Vishra's deck. So if Mentorkman can kill this Necker, he can force out the last Necker before round 3, which would represent value.
Yeah, and indeed. Oh, he does have Siri, actually. So that will give him some card advantage. Definitely, will actually equalize the card advantage because now this is a pretty decent spot to pass. Maybe if he has no more removal for that necker, I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, you get. Okay, he keeps going, deciding to. It doesn't matter if she's gold or not. Only that roach won't come back, but maybe he has another golden card in his hand. But so far, this is definitely an interesting game. Hard to predict what's going to happen now. The players could go in either ways right now.
Yeah.
Passing here, of course, is not an option.
Yeah. The Siri is just out of the Elser's Thunder range. We're going to see it come down on it anyway. Threatening to kill it with something else if he were to continue this round. Now, Menticman should give this up here, and there it is.
That's a good pass, because, he will commit into that. That is interesting. It's suboptimal in my opinion.
I don't understand that play.
I would value Triss in the last round more than just a 6 strength Siri, silver even, because...
Well, yeah, I mean, what he did with that play was trade the Triss for the Siri. The card advantage stays the same because you're using an extra card. You're denying yourself an extra card in round 3 to get an extra card in round 3, and the Triss is just worth more than the Siri.
Also, I didn't notice, but what was his card that was gonna stay otherwise if he didn't play Triss? Was it the Ghoul? Because that would have been
it was the Ghoul. I think it was something that wasn't the Roach.
That would have been more valuable as well to keep. I don't think that was the right play. Boar comes out, but he has the perfect card to counter it in his hand, which is ideal. I mean, but still something is higher, of course, but
yeah, it's still gonna kill the Katakan here, which is.
But Bork is gonna die as well with it, or maybe actually not.
No,
it goes back to 7,
it gets
right?
Reduced, yeah. See.
So yeah, it's not perfect at all. Actually, that was my bad.
Very awkward.
Killing the lowest stuff. Yeah, this is a very very tough spot for Vishra here.
Yeah,
I see no way.
Real answer. Yeah. I mean, he's not going to get any Necker, right? So Fog doesn't do anything. Yeah, that's game.
Dude, that is game because he couldn't get any more value above that 10 strength that was already on the board for the opponent there.
Okay, game
when
1
both
going to Mencerkman.
That was
let's see these swaps.
Do you think the Triss Marigold was the wrong play right there?
I'm confused by that
game?
play. I mean, I might be having one of my famous moments, but I don't. I just don't understand that at all.
Have definitely helped him against Bork, I think, because Triss can hurt your stuff.
You can fog it too. You can fog Bork and then finish it off with Triss if Nuclear Skies is answered as well.
No, indeed. So we'll see the switches here. Are there any cards that you would say are suboptimal in this matchup, in this deck, in this Barracuda deck from our player here?
Well, I mean, Triss does lose some value because, it's not Dwarfs, it's not Nilfgaard. You're not sniping as much. Looks like he's putting back an Avlak, despite the fact that it gives them an extra 2 strength. Pretty minimal deal, but...
I would agree. That's not a huge deal. But it's certainly not going to lose them games at all. So the first round went to Manturtman. Anything can still be done. This is a best of 5, but definitely the advantage and the kind of stress that goes into playing a tournament is on the side of Manturtman. So we'll see how this continues here. I mean, the sideboard changes will not give him the edge right now because there wasn't a huge deal that was sideboarded. And I hope to see some real interesting sideboards from Mentortman right now for this matchup. But I don't think as Northern Realms you can do these big sideboard changes like he did last time with Monster Weather, like Pavetta, swapping out Roach, Shani, all these things.
Sideboards are always going to be... Ooh, they're getting the Roach there at the end.
It's
a little awkward. Sideboards are always going to be more dramatic in like kind of fringe matchups, whereas this is both of these decks are somewhat standardized. Not to
Very
say that I
solid.
don't. No, I don't think this monster deck isn't necessarily original, but it's not so much archetypal. It plays towards the value game. It's very efficient. It's very flexible.
Same with the Northern Realms player. I mean, there's not that many tech cards in there, but you have the option to do so, and that's what kind of makes it interesting with the sideboard. But again, we see the Reaver Hunter dying to Murk Tabraki. It's very interesting and very suboptimal. So he didn't change those out, which is interesting. I don't think I would have swapped them out as well for a sideboard. I think I would have rather put my silvers in a sideboard. Place the ghoul destroys them pretty staple like last game.
Yeah, and that's one of the downsides with the Neckers, because like when they're at 3 strength, they're so easy to kill, and whatever form of consume you use, whether it's Ghoul or Ekimara or Vran Warrior, it's gonna take a couple turns to set that up. So your Neckers is always gonna be vulnerable to being pulled out, especially when he knows what the list is, and he's definitely not afraid to pull them out more aggressively since there's only one warrior.
And also interesting, he plays Triss instead of Roach.
Yes.
Instead of Vernon Roche, which is a very odd decision, if you would ask me, since I think more damage is more valuable than that 1 strength.
I would run Triss over Roche.
just because it can hit your own board? Or
yeah,
because
basically
of the strength?
in this case. Basically in this case.
We'll see. Maybe Roche gets that ability in the future too. So we'll see. I think this was kind of a test with Triss, how it went. Temerian Foot Soldiers come down. Pretty basic, pretty staple here. Thinning out the deck. And we do see Pavetta, a huge Pavetta play.
And like I said, the last of the Neckers.
The Necker, yeah. They do get kind of destroyed by it, especially when there's multiple Neckers on the ground. But here there wasn't. That was a kind of a huge play. Not sure if it was worth it to play your Temerian Foot Soldiers there, though. He didn't have to do that. The result would have been the same, only he would have kept 12 strength, which is pretty significant in a matchup like this.
True. And I guess that's a tell that his hand is much more reactive, and he had a lot of awkward decisions that he didn't really want to have to make.
Maybe some golden cards like Bork that he really doesn't want to use right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Stennis too, saving it for the combo.
Gonna eat card from his graveyard, a normal Crone, which is pretty good. Decides to also standard that card, which is very decent because it's the last card played, and if he decides to pass, which of course won't happen right now, but if that card would be only 6 strength, Ghoul eating a nice target, a 7 strength target right there. And Priscilla, maybe a Scorch or something would really, really help him here. But he gets a Reaver Scout, which is a lot of value. That was, with 1 card, was a lot of value.
Yep. There's that 11 power Lacerate coming down. And obviously, we're seeing Mentic Man just keep pinging the last unit played. Just for whenever the match ends. Always good habits to have.
Yeah, using Radovid on normal 8 strength card, a bronze card, it really shows your opponent that you're out of options. You really want him to pass. So pushing onward is maybe the right play here, because now he'll be forced into making really awkward decisions.
Yeah, and this D-Shackles might prove to be very useful here, because it does counter the Bork, which is very strong, and even possibly, I mean, if this round were to persist, it could make the Triss foggable as well.
Dropping the Woodland Spirit, which is gonna be a huge swing here. Yeah, he's 19 strength ahead of him.
Yeah, this round might be closed out if there's no answer coming down, no big swing.
And if he had Siri in his hand, which is a reason to go all in round 1, that would have been... Bork is too late right now. He's still going, though. Maybe he has Stennis?
He has to have Stennis, but even then, is it still the right call? I mean, then you're playing many cards after that pass.
If you don't have Stennis, this was okay. He does have
Yeah,
Stennis. Interesting. Still, this is gonna be quite close, right?
Yeah, and he's
Because-
gonna have to play literally all of his cards. Like
Mhm.
he has to play this last card as well. Like he will win it, but he's going very deep for this round. That being said, I mean we're not seeing great tools by Vishra. I mean he's keeping presumably the 8 strength ghoul, is that right? As the wolves are fleeting. But his hand is Roach and D-Shackles, and those are not powerful cards. So it is possible that Mentorkman could take this regardless, even after
Yeah,
going
because-
so far into round 1.
Roach and D-Shackles could easily be just 3 strength in the next
Yeah.
turn, and
And he's
that will
keeping
not
the
win
1
you
strength
games.
ghoul as well. The Elzers perfectly hit that ghoul. That ghoul
Mm.
actually, I mean, that ghoul had kind of too much strength. If it had 7, then Elzers can't deal with it in the same way, and he gets to keep something else.
Mhm.
And there's the draws of the Ekimara and the Karen. Not great draws. Not terrible. Pretty bad.
Yeah, playing the Roach just to bait out a card is, I think, the right play. And I think then the next play would be... This is still a difficult decision, though. Because she will keep hitting away and it's going to be close. You got to keep the math here in mind when you're
Yeah.
playing. So that you're not
Absolutely.
suddenly in a tie or 1 strength down or something like that.
Ekimara's got to eat the Roach here. It'll be enough points to win, and it'll
Yeah,
keep
indeed.
an 8 strength grab. Well, it'll 7 strength grab going into the next round, which isn't bad. But again, the hand is awkward. It really will come down to these last top decks, and also the mystery card Mentic Man drew last round. Keeping an eye on that one.
Well, Mantic Man has already played 3 golden cards, which is quite impressive. And I think getting a caretaker
That's a top deck.
is very, very
Oh
valuable.
my.
It's the Pavetta can do work. The Priscilla
Yeah,
is
and
always solid,
It denies the Shawnee into Pavetta, which as we
Mm.
know is
and any Scorch will also be useless right now because he placed the Karen down. This is going to be really tough.
That's really surprising. I did not know that in action. So you can't eat the Roach with the Karen?
I did not notice right now.
That is confusing.
Oh, right,
to me.
yeah.
Because that's not how
you cannot.
Vilgeforce or Milva works either.
Must be different. Is he going to swap out something, actually? Maybe something he noticed that this is not as good.
Yeah, he might do a little change.
He might switch out. No, the Karen is too good right now in this thing. Yeah, he's not going to switch out anything, which is, I think, the right decision. I'm not a monsters expert, but right there, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
Maybe
Nor am I
very minor.
a monsters expert, but I also wouldn't change anything.
So we'll be going. It's now a 1-1, one for Vishra and one for Mantric Man, and we'll be going into the 3rd game here. It's a best of 5, so anything can still happen. It is with a sideboard, so that people can really counter their opponent's playstyle as much as they like, or as much as they had planned for, at least. So
Yeah, I'm liking the sideboard format. It adds a real dimension of complexity, and stuff you have to really plan out for.
You have to one thing about it is you have to plan for which decks will be played on the tournament, and then you have to decide how will I counter those decks, and then you have to decide how will I split up my sideboard to counter each of these factions, because you can decide maybe I have a lot of trouble against Monster Weather. I'm gonna put everything from my sideboard into countering Monster Weather, so that if I come across it, I will completely counter it and obliterate it. But if you don't come across that, then you're pretty screwed, or you're gonna have a rough time. So sideboard is definitely asks some skill to make, and it's definitely something not to be taken lightly.
Yeah, absolutely. You really can't you can't half-ass your sideboard.
Mm-hmm.
You'll lose if you do that.
Certainly. So while we wait for the next match, the 3rd match, do you think in this matchup that one deck is slightly favored, Northern Realms Control with Radovid or Dagon Consume Hybrid weather thingy. Do you think one is?
I'm thinking the Dagon Consume one is going to be favored here. Like, just thinking about it, like it has the right tech to be able to deal with the real threats that Northern Realms has, and I mean beyond that, it's very good with the Graveyard Consuming as well. Like that can make games on occasion.
I think Reaver Hunter is a slight mistake here, though. He plays Reaver Hunters and has Reaver Scouts as well in the deck, and I think that's a little bit overkill. Yeah, we did see some Reaver Scouts. I think there's only one or two, maybe. Didn't really count them, but that's a little overkill on the range throw, and I'd like to see them maybe a little bit switched up, because I think that's a lot of not only deck thinning, but the Reaver Hunter in this matchup will prove to die many times.
I mean, basically, the real problem with running both of those Reaver units is that, I mean, you've got... you have to think about the Reaver Scout. The thing about the Reaver Scout is it's a very powerful card, but there's just that chance that you're going to have no targets to hit with it. And the thing about running Reaver Hunters is you're taking away your targets. So you're just increasing the odds that you're going to have dead Reaver Scouts, and that really can be game losing. And that's the real anti-synergy there.
I totally agree there. Having a Reaver Scout in one of the later turns or top decking that is... I think even that he top decked maybe a Reaver Scout in the last game and just conceded because he had no way of beating his opponent with the amount of strength in his hand. And then just decided to concede. Because stuff like that happens, and you don't always draw into your Reaver Scouts, and if you draw into them later, you lose games.
Yep.
So,
yeah, and Vishra in chat, the hybrid consume player himself, is saying that he specifically built the deck to counter Northern Realms.
Oh yeah, then that's definitely a good play, because we knew that a lot of people were gonna play Northern Realms, because it's a solid deck, and it's a lot of people have had a lot of time to play with it already. Dale is contacting here us from behind the screen, so sorry for a little bit. 29 now. All right, just had to say that. So looks like we'll be going into our last or third game here. In total, there can be 5 games, of course. Mentor Man again with the Northern Realms Radovid against Dagon Vishra. So we'll see if he gets a terrible draw. This is looking good though. Roach again in the hand, but that's really minor. I'd rather have that in the start of my hand.
It's better to have it in the start than drawing it in the third.
Indeed.
Like it's not so much of a problem having to skip one of your mulligans.
Yeah, I'd rather secure. I mean, that's also kind of playstyle. Would you risk going for the last mulligan, risking to get a card like Roach again, or a Crone, or would you rather play it safe and not discard or mulligan your
the
your
Roach
last mulligan?
The Roach was blacklisted, but both Crones weren't. So I definitely wouldn't uncrones. My policy is if there's 2 cards that I really don't want, like mulligan musters that aren't blacklisted, I won't take the third one.
Man, every time the Reaver Hunter has died to Murkta I'm interested if we'll see Pavetta again. And every time a ghoul has eaten a Reaver Hunter.
I mean, it's not. It really isn't just the denial happening here. I mean, he's feeding these ghouls, and that's like enabling ghouls on round 1. That's kind of the one thing that ghouls are being kept down by. That like you can't always play them super early on round 1, but it keeps happening. It just keeps getting enabled.
And because your neckers are from round 1, they are already strong, and that's really valuable. If you can get your neckers a little bit powered up from the beginning of the round, then you can really start snowballing your way out. Because neckers are a force to be reckoned with once they get going.
They really are. They really are. I mean, they feel like having a second keep from the monster's ability. They really do. Like you're just keeping 2 medium-sized monsters, and that's just hard to deal with, honestly, especially going into round 3. That's when it really, really hurts.
Vishra signaling us that he's gonna play the Karen on the Crones, which is, in my opinion, one of the right plays. actually using Triss on a Necker. At the same time, removing some Neckers from the deck, which is good, but at the same time also deck thinning for the opponent. So it's not an optimal play, killing it. I know it's removing them from the deck, but it's still not. It doesn't feel right when you do it. When you actually have to use such a card on just a Necker, and it comes back at the same strength. So will he actually play the Karen? No, he will actually go with the ghouls and eat some more, which is very interesting. He's not scared of Scorch because right now there's no possible way that the crones will die all in once. But now there's definitely a possibility. No, the ghoul defends them from getting scorched.
That thunder probably should have came down on the ghoul instead, because I mean it's just the habit of playing it on the most recent unit is all.
Mm-hmm. But he's gonna play Nekimara here on the ghoul, which is which will make it a 14 strength ghoul Nekimara, which is a lot. But Scorch comes down. That's a decent Scorch, I'd say. Last card played as well. It's very decent. The Northern Rose player really, but still, the opponent has a Karen, or Vishra has a Karen, which is gonna swing the battle. I mean, knowing though that Scorch has been used is quite valuable, because in this matchup the monster player is always looking for that Scorch. When is he going to play Scorch? Did he draw it? A Villain Tretimurf, when is it going to come down? So I think saving the Karen for a later turn when the Villain Tretimurf comes down might be the most valuable thing to do here.
Yep. I mean that rally just now, I don't think he wanted to hit that Necker there. It definitely it looked like he wanted to take a risk, because I mean he had a high chances of hitting that Necker.
He will play a Karen here, which is
this will
interesting.
Represent a lot of points.
And I think it's just he's doing that because next round there will come 2 Neckers will follow, and they're gonna be of quite decent strength here. Because the Neckers will get removed. Opponent passing here, only 5 strength ahead. That proves that he has really awkward cards in hand. If he cannot best 5 strength or 6 strength.
Yeah, it has to be. Yep. So that's interesting. I mean, the Karen comes down really strong there. Like normally it's 8 points plus a little bit of utility, but in this case, buffing all of the Neckers, very very powerful card when you start getting into the archetypal synergy.
I mean, in this scenario, do you just pass? He has to play 2 cards.
No, I'd be inclined to Avalak, but I'm not sure.
This is the same amount of card advantage you get for playing a Siri, for example.
I mean, but at the same time, I mean, you want to get a good keep going into the next round, and the Scorch has already been used, so you don't need to fear the Scorch. You might fear the Villain Tretimurf, but at that point he's playing 3 cards, and there it is.
There it is. Would you consider passing now?
Yep.
Yeah. Just so he has to waste cards to actually let the Borg trigger.
I mean, this is just going to be hard to win. Like the Stennis is going to come down, sure, and that's going to get scorched. But he's also like he's kind of stalling his
10 strength here. Behind. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's like the Borg is going to scorch for 22. He needs to make 32 right now. So he still needs to make like you said 10 strength, and that's or 11, and that's
11 to win. That might be done with a Neneke into a Priscilla, but he hasn't played those yet, so this will be quite tough for him.
Yeah.
We'll see what he does. He does draw he does play a Neneke into a Ballista. Should be just enough, just perfectly enough. Oh, okay. I thought he hit the thing there. This should be 1 enough. He should beat him by 1.
Yes, this should be enough.
Unless okay, no. Oh, by 2, fine. All right, close enough. So that's a quite. I don't think you could have played that round more. What word am I looking for?
Better. Perfectly.
Better.
There's no good answer. Yeah, and hitting the ghoul there, obviously he loses out on a tiny bit of point potential, but the points are meaningless, and the ghoul is the one that carries over between the rounds, which is important.
Oh, hitting the
Catachan eating the Stennis here for huge points.
that's huge. And he still has the Gravedigger, which is also
and like I said,
that
Pavetta just needs to be nerfed.
was-
It's too strong.
This is why
It
Pavetta
shouldn't-
needs to be. Yeah, there's no Scorch anymore, so he's not. I mean, if Gigni was run, this was a risk, but he's pretty
But
sure that.
you still win with the Caretaker.
Oh.
Even after this.
Oh, Pavetta. Oh, this is.
Well, the Caretaker has this for sure.
Yeah, of course, but this was still a very nice play. I mean,
Yeah.
he had his like, kind of laughing, man. Is this? Oh, this is by one enough. Very nice.
Yep.
That was a very nice play. So the second point goes to Vishra. Minturtman 1 down. So this is the next match is actually the match point of this best of 5. It's 2-1.
Yep.
So the pressure is on for Minturtman.
Yeah. Yeah. This could be it if Menticman loses, or he has to win 2 games otherwise.
I mean, this is the finals going on of the Gwentlemen's Open. All the honor goes to one person. Not the silver place, only
Yeah.
the gold place. So I think this is the right decision to not make any changes here to the deck because it's been going well for him. He's been playing very well as well, and I think this is a decent enough list. I don't know his sideboard, but I think no further changes should be made here. Like
Yeah,
last time.
I'm no monsters expert, but I personally wouldn't make any changes right now like last time.
It's it's a very decent deck here. I think this is like as you said, this deck kind of has the advantage over the Northern Realms Radovid control. Just because, and I think this is one of the main reasons, just because he's running Reaver Hunters and he made a small mistake or a small suboptimal deck choice to play the Reaver Hunters and the Reaver Scouts. I don't think that helps him out in this matchup.
Yep. I would be inclined to agree.
So we'll be going into our fourth match here. Maybe the last one, we do not know. This is the finals of the Gwentlemen's Open of February, everyone. If you're just tuning in, this is the match point of the finals. We're now just going into the fourth match in just a second.
Yeah, I mean these goals are pretty crazy. Like when you think about it, I mean the Catachan is it's a card that just it's very, very strong. Like it has a hard time representing under 10, and it has that graveyard denial. It's kind of like a death mold, but better. It's kind of like a lot of silver cards, but better. It just puts out so much power, and it denies that card. And all it is a targeted ghoul with 2 extra strength. Right. So
but you can.
I
I mean, like last game, you can target Stennis. That's huge.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if you target Yavin, it's huge. Yeah.
No. Oh yeah, totally. But the ghouls. I don't know. These ghouls are. The
ghouls usually get about 8 strength. I'd say they sometimes get more. But yeah, they mostly get more. I'd say, and sorry, there's a behind the scenes moment here for a second. All right, so it's gonna be real soon here in our next match. But again, I think ghouls with neckers are just something that's really undervalued at the moment in our game state. I think you could even try and run a monster's nest in there actually, just in round 2 or something, and that wouldn't be all that bad. I think I would like to see how monster's nest, a tech card like this, would perform in Vishra's deck here. I don't think it's in here, right? It's not. Would you think that would be a card that would work in here?
Well, Ruben, I'm gonna level with you. I'm no monsters expert, but I think it just could work. Yeah.
Hmm. Getting a decent hand here. 3 golden cards already in the opening hand. Also a Necker. No Murkta Bracket though.
Yep,
But
and also there's no Necker Warrior. And the Necker Warrior drawing it early is just a good sign to see. It really is. It's nice.
Yeah, he could have a chance of drawing it with Avalak or First Light. But we'll see. And the Yennefer actually coming out first. Kind of an aggressive play to just
That
show
is
like
an aggressive Avalak. He doesn't want
I
to draw
wanna-
Crones. And he didn't draw Crones.
that is it paid off. Sometimes you gotta take risks. But he does have
true.
the Murkta Bracket to punish the Reaver Hunter again. And will we see it for the 4th time? Okay, thinning out the deck on quite a cheap level with just ballistas. That is quite decent. So
there's a big score gap to make up here. Very large. 22 points.
But Crones
have-
have no trouble with making up for that, though.
Crones have no trouble making up for that, yeah.
I mean, the opponent might be here like, I'm gonna pass here just to make, I mean, an aggressive pass here, just to think like he's gotta waste 2 cards here.
I
Okay,
mean,
our opponent passes.
yeah.
Vishra passes here.
I mean,
Interesting.
he has no real answer to that Yennefer Conjure, and he just doesn't want to keep playing around. He's
Yeah, that's-
down around. at
That's
least.
true, but the chance of drawing a crone right now is pretty
Hey,
big
man,
here. There we go.
Oh, oopsies.
Getting a Necker Warrior though.
Yeah, and the other thing is that
Oh.
Mentorman, he
No more
almost
Neckers.
he almost kind of could pass with that lead because the Avalak was played, because there is a notable chance that Vishra is gonna have 2 Crones, and like it prevents him from being able to beat him in a single turn. Because that's the other thing about drawing your musters when you want to pull them, because it doesn't just lose you damage potential, it loses you tempo.
We see the Temerian foot soldiers coming out, pretty staple here. No Reaver Hunters though, which is quite interesting. And the opponent will Caretaker here, trying to steal something valuable. That's an early Caretaker.
Oh yeah,
Let's see what he tries to steal.
yeah, indeed it is. Get the roach out.
Oh,
Roach
that is
down.
it. I like that. That's a nice play.
I like that
Not-
too.
Yeah, not gaining immediate value, but on the long term, it will definitely help him out.
Yeah, I mean it's round 2. Round 2 is fundamentally a round where points tend to not matter on both sides. Obviously, many exceptions, but in general, round 2 is just kind of the setup round. Like round 1 is kind of like tempo, round 2 is like setup, and round 3 is value, basically.
Indeed. So again, the Reaver Hunter getting punished pretty hard here. Murkta Bracket is in the deck. That is interesting. I think that's the first time we saw him in the other deck. Maybe setting up a Scorch here. Yeah, that looks like it.
Yep. I mean, but he's gonna do that regardless if he has a Scorch or not.
Still, the last Crone comes out and pretty
But yeah,
much ruins the
can't
plans.
risk it.
Hmm.
You can't risk it. Now, if he's really committed for this Scorch or this bluff, he could throw a Ballista down.
A Ballista on the 6? That's a really odd choice because the
That's
7 was the
confusing
last
for
one played.
multiple reasons. Yeah.
The 7
I
was
don't
the
know-
last
I
one
don't know
played.
about that one.
Yeah. The Scorch setup was a prank.
Maybe he knew the ghoul was coming down. Maybe this is the Scorch.
Maybe he can see the future.
That'd be pretty next level.
The Reaver Scout, the Reaver Hunter again, proving to be just the 5 bronze, nothing more. But it is drawing removal.
Yeah, it's
but
a tie. It's a bronze for a bronze even trade.
Reaver Scout probably just dropping it to ask for one more card from the opponent, and
Yep.
I think this is gonna be a pass right here after this. That was basically like
Winning round
I
1, it gives you the privilege of being able to just trade your cards 1 for 1, however you want. And that is the kind of nice thing about situational cards like Reaver Scouts. If you win round 1, or if the opponent's trying to bleed you out when you're ahead of them, you can just dump them in round 2, and their value doesn't matter.
So we've seen 2 Reaver Hunters already, 1 Reaver Scout. If he draws one of those in either round 3, he will be in a pretty bad spot, pretty much. Playing Priscilla, that probably signs that he has Neneke in his hand.
Yes,
The Caretaker,
definitely.
yeah, the Caretaker has already been played, so That's pretty nice. But Roach was stolen, which is pretty interesting. I like it a lot. He plays the
Yeah.
Reaver Hunter.
I
Interesting.
mean, if you're in Mentorkman's shoes right there, and you don't see the caretaker played, you really can't afford to play your Priscilla, because this is Vishra's round to win. He's going first in round 3, and you're very scared of that caretaker.
Mhm.
So much better to save the Priscilla. But since the caretaker was played, he's able to play it, signaling he has the Naneki to bring it back.
He has a nice. I feel like Northern Realms has done a nice setup, thinning out his deck, making sure he's gonna draw some golden cards or some more valuable cards. Still, the monster player has Dimeritium Shackles, might be of real importance very soon.
Yeah, this is
still-
where it counts, and he's got. I mean, there's nothing big for the Bork to really kill, so the Bork will get completely shut down by this.
I mean, have you ever played against the Northern Realms Radovid control that didn't get Bork in his hand or Villain Phantom Earth, right?
Oh yeah, no, I got you.
So he does drop Siri. The Roach obviously is gone. This is a risky play. I think you consume the lowest because you're really scared of Bork here.
But it's
Are we-
still very Borkable. I mean, I guess if the
There
Bork
we
comes
go.
down this turn, so Vishra did the math. He realized the Bork would have had to have come down that turn, which enables Fog, D-Shackles, and Murktabraki to deny
The 2 Roaches are glorious to see.
it. Yeah.
So it's interesting. What do you deshackle here? You don't deshackle Siri because that would only be a 6th then. I mean, but if you deshackle Bork, it's a 1 strength that will burn the high strength units. But I think you do it because
the Murktabraki is gonna kill it. It's dead to the Murktabraki.
right. I didn't see. I was so focused on Bork here in this case that
Yeah.
this was a very interesting
Yeah.
play. I feel like Mentorkman set up that round really nicely, but he got punished because Vishra had the perfect cards to counter that Bork there, like the perfect cards.
I mean, this deck is. I think it is really tailor-made to beat NR
So-
if you draw your tools, which doesn't always happen, but that is it. Vishra wins 3 games. He is our TGO February champion.
Yeah, we're champion. hmm Congratulations, Vishra.
Hello again, everybody. So yeah, I love watching these games. Excellent casting.
They
by
were
Ruben, by
really
Swim,
interesting.
by Faramir.
Thanks.
Love listening to you guys throughout all these as well. But yeah, Vishra taking the top spot. So congratulations to Vishra for our Gwentlemen's Open February champion. Well earned, and I definitely agree that deck looked tailor-made. It's just like, who do I want to be?
I expect
Northern
to see a lot of that deck on ladder
Yeah,
in
me
the
too.
coming weeks.
You better make a counter for it, Swim.
I love
Yeah.
that top deck D-Shackles right at the end too. That
Was,
just
pretty
sealed
solid.
that game.
locked it in. Yeah, there was,
It was
there was
pretty-
just no real
pretty
out
dirty.
after that.
Pretty dirty. Ripped that only answer to Borg out of this deck. It's not very nice.
Yeah, with an additional 2
if-
duels added from that Neko Warrior too, so not even the best
Mm-hmm.
of odds.
That NR player just set up the Borg so nicely, you know? And then he was
Well,
like, okay, it's gonna kill all the units and I'm gonna win. And then there's like a bronze card that denies it. It's pretty bullshit. But
No.
okay.
For our Gwentlemen's Open February, Vishra taking the top spot, and Turkmen taking the silver, and HG3 with the bronze. Congratulations to all of our top 3 and every participant from the tournament. Thank you all very much, everybody who came out and participated and helped make it what it was. So, thank you all very much. I don't have any really closing things myself. Swim, anything from you?
No, I'm good. I thought I was gonna sneeze. I was gonna close with that.
Ruben.
The VODs will be uploaded if you just tuned in. We'll announce on Twitter where they will be uploaded, or just on our YouTube channel. If you just tuned in or missed a majority of the games, or are really curious to what games were played or what decks, they will be uploaded. So that was and also thanks Dale for setting this up and behind the scenes, all this stuff. Nupshit as well for adminning, if that's a verb.
Yeah, it is a word.
This whole tournament. Just thanks to all the Gwentlemen also for helping out with everything. It was real nice.
Anytime.
Thanks, Gwetswim.
Faramir, any closing statements?
Well, since nobody else gonna do it, I'm just gonna plug everyone's stream. You know, you should check out Swim's stream. You should check out Ruben's stream. You should check out my stream. And you should check out Dale's stream. Also, TGI is coming up next week, so that's gonna be fun, right?
That should
It's
be
gonna
a lot
be
of
streamed
fun.
here. So
That will
Yeah,
also
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm
So if you
looking
want-
forward to
Yeah.
spanking Swim.
Yeah, if you are
I
looking
play
for
it,
more
who knows?
tournament action, the Gwentlemen's Invitational, I believe, is this next coming up weekend. That's what Faramir was referring to, so it should be even more high-level play coming at you, and we will try and get as much of it casted onto this channel as possible. But
I don't know, man. That was some pretty high level play.
I mean, we can get more high-level play.
Ugh.
Faramir.
Faramir's just like, let me play.
Ugh.
Come on.
I was busy and then we go, come play. Unfortunately.
But from all of us
Yeah.
at the
Next week.
Gwentlemen, thank you all very much for tuning in. Thank you for everybody again who participated in this Gwentlemen's Open. The next Gwentlemen's Open, we were trying to do a monthly format. We want to give ourselves a little bit of room to breathe. So it's not going to be a Gwentlemen's Open in March. Taking the month off. There will be other tournaments available if you are interested in trying to participate in those, but we will be back with the Gwentlemen's Open in April. So tune in to the Gwentlemen's Discord, Gwentlemen's Open Discord, for more information on that. Nub might also have some additional info in the chat, because big shout out to Nub for being the one to step up, be the head admin for this tournament, and be the final rules sayer on all matters. So when it comes, this is his tournament, so we are very grateful for him to be able to step up and do this. So we do hope to see you all again next weekend. As always, this coming up Thursday, 3 days from now, not too far off, the Gwentlemen Talk Show will be back on this channel at 4 p.m. US Central, 5 p.m. Eastern, and what is that, 11 p.m. GMT?
11 p.m.
CEST.
CET.
Yep.
No, CET, because it's not summertime right now.
We'll be back on Thursday for that, so hope to see you all again then. In the meantime, take care, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.
Why?